the whole Biden, the Obama Iran nuclear deal is a sign of weakness, and they're going to empower Iran. Well, that's true, but to what end? Are they spoiling for war?
Maybe it's the distraction away from the invasion that's happening at our border.
That started the Iranian nuclear deal dates back
I know
more than a decade.
Right.
And a lot of the justification for leaving our troops in Syria and in Iraq has been to prevent so-called Iranian influence, malign Iranian influence, to counter Russia. And that is nothing more than us baiting a trap for ourselves to get our troops killed, to encourage and then really to justify a further war against Iran. It's absolute insanity. And we have to ask ourselves as American citizens, what do we gain from this? If we're going to deploy our troops and we're going to lose our best and our brightest, and we're going to spend trillions of dollars, what do we, the American people, gain? At the same time, we just lost 3 Americans defending the Jordanian-Syrian border. Our border is wide open. Fentanyl's killing over 118,000 of our citizens. 10 million illegal invaders have come into our country. So where are the priorities of our ruling class? And I think it's absolutely evil. I think it's completely and totally treasonous. And we need to get these people out of office as soon as possible.
I mean, Dan, can you imagine if you had a loved one, a son or a daughter, stationed at Tower 22 or anywhere in the Middle East? I mean, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. And you know that the government and the president doesn't have your back. I mean, Biden had nothing on his schedule yesterday. I would have made something on my schedule to come out and say, look, I talked to the family members, we're going to do something about this. But what's the plan? There is no plan.
To Ken's point and yours, 300 National Guardsmen are called up. They're going to be deployed in Illinois National Guardsmen. They're going to be deployed to the Middle East.
Oh, God.
So go back to Joe Kent, the Green Beret, and his evolution on this. And I got to admit, my evolution on this, too. I was certainly a defender of the Bush-Cheney decision to go into Iraq at the time. There's some hard lessons I think we have got to learn from the last 20 years, looking back at things and perhaps looking back on them with a clearer understanding of the motivations of some and the power of institutions inside our government that are unelected. Joe Kent would love to defend the neocons, but he can't.
You just are kowtowing to Vladimir Putin. It's the exact same mentality that got us into the Iraq war. You're either with us or you're with the terrorists. And look, Tucker, I would love to come on here and defend neoconservatism as someone who lost my late wife in these wars, as somebody who lost countless friends, as somebody who fought myself 11 combat deployments. I spent most of my 20s and 30s in Iraq. I would love to tell you it had worked, but it simply did not. And that's a very hard thing to admit. I get into arguments all the time with fellow veterans about this exact same topic. So I think a lot of this is literally the gambler's fallacy. There's a lot of people who think, hey, if we just keep trying, if we keep attempting to spread freedom through the barrel of a gun and trillions of US dollars, this time it's going to work. Let's just double down. And this is, how really nice casinos are built in Las Vegas off of this exact same mentality. So I think that combined with the financial interest from Lockheed Martin and every single defense contractor and, putting someone like Lloyd Austin as the Secretary of Defense, who's still on the board at Raytheon, I think that factor with that mentality and people not being able to admit that we got this wrong and then making adjustments to our policy.
Coming up at 5:38, since Joe Kent mentioned the priorities, the Jordanian-Syrian border versus our own southern border, we'll go to our own southern border, 5:38.
But first, let's stop into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
It's 5:33 here in Chicago, 37 degrees, and the U.S. says they will respond decisively to any aggression against U.S. troops in the Middle East.
We will respond. We'll do that on our schedule, in our time, and we'll do it in the manner of the president's choosing as Commander-in-Chief.
National Security Council spokesman John Kirby, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin spoke out at the Pentagon.
The President and I will not tolerate attack on U.S. forces and we will take all necessary actions to defend the U.S. and our troops.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken telling reporters Monday following the attack by Iranian-backed militants in Jordan that left 3 American service members dead and dozens injured that the president is considering options. House Republicans unveil articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas as lawmakers remain split on border security. Texas Congressman Roger Williams.
Secretary Mayorkas and President Biden continue to they totally ignore the pleas of the American people, forcing Governor Abbott to take on the crisis alone. Instead of coming to Texas aid, our president has decided to retaliate against and target patriots such as Governor Abbott.
A group of Republican lawmakers holding a press conference about the U.S. northern and southern border on Monday. Texas Congressman Michael Cloud called for the Biden administration to take real action. White House officials, however, insist Republicans are to blame for not helping fix the broken immigration system. And the White House insists Republicans need to get out of the way and that the White House needs the Senate bill being considered before taking any action. Michigan State Police say 3 women belonging to a national organized crime crew have hit Walgreens stores in that state 25 times. Walgreens says they suffered $100,000 in lost merchandise. The women are believed to be Romanian nationals. The Federal Open Market Committee kicks off its first meeting of the year today. It's a 2-day event culminating with the announcement of future interest rate hikes or lowering on Wednesday. Russian figure skating team will be stripped of its gold medals from the 2022 Beijing Olympics. Court of Arbitration for Sport disqualified a Russian skater for a doping violation. The U.S. team will now get the gold. Mayor Brandon Johnson delaying migrant shelter evictions in Chicago. The mayor announcing yesterday the extension of the 60-day policy for those in the city's temporary emergency shelter system.
This has been unprecedented. This challenge has certainly been a weight in our city.
The move by the mayor follows pressure by more than a dozen aldermen who signed a letter last week urging Johnson to delay the evictions. The Illinois State Board of Elections is expected to vote today on whether to remove former President Donald Trump from the state's primary ballot in March. That vote comes after retired Kankakee County Judge Clark Erickson recommended over the weekend the courts should dismiss a voter petition to remove Trump from the ballot. Bulls take on Toronto later on tonight, while the Fighting Illini are back in Big Ten action visiting Ohio State. The news a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees trouble in Georgia.
So Big Fannie Willis goes after, and she hires Nathan Wade, her lover, to be the special prosecutor on the case. A private sector attorney brought onto the case to assist. Now, according to the complaint, this is all allegedly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's true, Wade has literally never prosecuted a felony before.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's a new year, and that means New Year's resolutions. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and if one of your New Year's resolutions was to do more to help others, then we want to let you know that you still have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of children in Latin America and the Caribbean through Food for the Poor. Your donation of just $80 provides food for an entire year for 2 children. That's life-changing. Just because the Christmas season is over, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. Food for the Poor is a faith-based organization that works with partners on the ground to make sure these children are fed. You know, we talk a lot about the root causes of our immigration crisis, and one of those causes is the situation in many of these countries. This is your chance to help take care of others. To make a donation of any amount, just visit 560theanswer.com/food for the poor. That's 560theanswer.com/food for the poor. Thanks again for your generosity.
Is your local delivery provider unreliable? Do your same-day deliveries never get there the same day? Or has your delivery service left you out in the cold this winter? Then you need to know about the Delivery Authority. We are exceptional people that deliver flawless service. We are a logistics company based in Naperville that specializes in same-day, next-day, and final mile deliveries. At the Delivery Authority, our account managers own the entire delivery process, from the pickup to final delivery, with real-time tracking that helps assure that your freight gets there safely, in good condition, and on time. And although we are a local company, our delivery footprint extends throughout the Midwest. So if you need a trusted local partner who can provide customized delivery solutions, on-time delivery performance, and hands-on customer service, then you need to call the Delivery Authority. Call us now at 630-893-7100. That's 630-893-7100. Or visit us online at thedeliveryauthority.com. That's thedeliveryauthority.com.
You are a creator. You've been inspired to design and craft incredible works of art. But nothing derails you like not having the right materials you need to get the project done. K&S Precision Metals prides itself on having the right metal pieces for you to be a maker. With a huge array of metal products for every part of your project, from beginning design to the finished product, K&S Precision Metals provides brass, aluminum, copper, stainless steel tubing, wire, and more. K&S Precision Metals only supplies the highest quality metal items. Each piece is pure metal with no lead or fillers. You can feel good that your project is made with metal manufactured right here in the USA. K&S Precision Metals are used by the medical and movie industries, artists, crafters, engineers, and educators. Family owned and operated in Chicago for over 76 years. Most orders are shipped within a day. Order direct at ksmetals.com. That's ksmetals.com. K&S Precision Metals. Our materials, your creations.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
541. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Ike. Already on the brake lights, First Avenue all the way to East. Inbound Stevenson jamming up Ashland into the Ryan merge. And the Ryan Express lanes are slow inbound, purging into the Stevenson Expressway. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Drizzle this morning, some wet snow. Can't be ruled out. High 39, mostly cloudy and 32 overnight. Drizzle and 37 right now. Your next news update at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Going from the Jordanian-Syrian border to our own southern border, talking about federal policy first. There's a lot to cover on the matter of border security and migration. But let's start at the federal level where we were. And again, as we were talking about the motivation here from this administration, I am not one given over to conspiracy theories. In fact, if you listen to the show, I routinely pillory them.
Right, and if I go on one, you're like, are you sure about that?
But when you see something happening and it doesn't make any sense and it is politically costly to the party pursuing it, then you do have to start to say, well, is there something else going on that I'm not privy to? Or do I need to look at this from a bit of a different angle, understand people's motivations here, what the real play is? And that's sort of what we were talking about with things like the Iranian nuclear deal and the general softness to Iran for the last 15 years. And now the Biden administration sounding like Lindsey Graham. Now everybody wants to bomb them. I mean, yes, you have the measured, we'll call the shot at our, time and place, but it's definitely that attitude. And you wonder if there is the larger play here that is not just providing that is not just a misunderstanding. That's not just a bad policy choice. They just have a different worldview, and they think that you can make friends with Iran, and that will lead to more stable Middle East. So they're well-intended. They just have a different outlook on trying to get to the same place, and they're woefully ill-informed. They're mistaken about it, and the obviousness of their wrong-headedness continues to manifest itself, as it has with the death of those 3 servicemen. But there's not a war party. They're not trying to goad Iran into a regional conflict in service of the military-industrial complex in D.C. I think if I could just finish, I think you have to really start to at least ask questions about what they're saying their intentions are and what they actually are.
Well, they kept saying all day yesterday, the whole time it's don't. Their message to Iran, don't. One word, don't. Like that was tough enough. But I loved what Mike Pompeo said yesterday. He said, we're not at war with them, but they're at war with us. And Dan, my heart sank when you said last half hour that we're sending 300 Illinois National Guards over there, guardsmen and women.
Yeah,
that's
right.
A death sentence. I mean, no one has their back. And who told Iran that what time our drone was coming back? Because they had to have known that information or followed because our drone was supposed to land in the morning, and they bombed us the same time our drone was supposed to land at Tower 22 on the Jordan-Syrian border there.
Well, obviously it's unclear what Iran knew, and there's been no reporting on that. But I mean. Fine, you can ask the question, but wait.
Makes me wonder.
I'm not sure Pompeo is right. By the way, that's one of the questions.
Okay.
They're at war with us, but we're not at war with them, aren't we? Are we? I don't think that question is as obvious. The answer to that question is as obvious as Mike Pompeo would have us believe. Honestly.
Well, they've
this is my point.
165 times.
This is my point about. I'm not questioning what Iran's motive is. I'm questioning what ours is. This is the whole point. Should we take at face value what is being fed to us about the motivations and the policy position? That's an expression of an understanding of the world. Should we take that at face value? And I'm saying, I don't think we can anymore. And it's the same thing with the border. And this, again, is mainly the left, but it certainly includes some ostensibly on the right or the center right. So let's go to the border. And let's listen to Jim Lankford, Republican senator from Oklahoma, who is one of the leads on this ongoing negotiation over some kind of immigration deal with the Democrats in the Senate. That is DOA in the House. If it turns out to be anything like what it's been reported to be. So Jim Lankford is on with Shannon Bream over the weekend on Fox, explaining things to us, and as he's been doing for the last several days, dismissing the criticism as internet rumors. You haven't even seen the language yet. We're trying to get to the language. So this is his attempt to pony up. And, okay, well, here's this 5,000 person threshold at the border, the 5-day rolling average, 5,000 people, and then we shut the border down. You're misunderstanding what it is, what this discussion point is. So he sort of concedes what's been reported is accurate while saying it's just internet rumors. And then he defends what's been reported because it is accurate. See if you buy this defense.
It would be absolutely absurd for me to agree to 5,000 people a day. This bill focuses on getting us to 0 illegal crossings a day. There's no amnesty. It increases the number of Border Patrol agents. It increases asylum officers. It increases detention beds so we can quickly detain and then deport individuals. It ends catch and release. It focuses on additional deportation flights out. It changes our asylum process so that people get a fast asylum screening at a higher standard and then get returned back to their home country. This is not about letting 5,000 people in a day. This is the most misunderstood section of this proposal. And let me tell you briefly what it is. In the last 4 months, we've had 7 days. In 4 months, we've had 7 days that we had less than 5,000 people. This is set up for if you have a rush of people coming at the border closes down, no one gets in. This is not someone standing at the border with a little clicker saying, I'm going to let one more in, we're at 4,999, and then it has to stop. It is a shutdown of the border, and everyone actually gets turned around.
Okay.
That's the focus that we have right now, is how do we actually intervene in this administration and turn people around, not let people in.
So the 5,000 rolling average that then gets reduced after you clear this 5,000 day rolling average, 5-day rolling average. That's to keep people out.
Is it?
Well, that's so. I'm sorry. What is this negotiation? What? So first of all, I mean, let's just be particular about this. The Immigration and Nationality Act, Senator, which I wish Shannon Bream would have brought up. She sort of brought it up generally, but I wish she had been specific. The Immigration and Nationality Act, coupled with the Supreme Court's recent precedent, give the president the authority to suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens as immigrants or non-immigrants, or impose on the entry of aliens any restrictions he may deem to be appropriate. You remember, as we mentioned, discussing this, the Supreme Court upheld the quote-unquote Trump's quote-unquote Muslim ban. It wasn't a Muslim ban. It was a halt from immigration from certain Muslim-majority countries, not all, that were incubators of terrorism. But regardless, that's the law, the statutory law, plus Supreme Court precedent. So what are you negotiating with Pagliacci Schumer about and the White House? So you're telling me that we're to believe that this negotiation is moving along and you have Schumer and Biden on board with legislation that would do what you're saying when they have the power to do what you're saying this would do right now? Bream followed up on that point, generally.
So there may be some initial measurement. You get to that rolling 5,000 in a week, and then it's 0 from that point on. But there is some initial measurement. Our Bill Malugin is reporting that the number would dial back then to about 3,750 a day at the border. And then once you hit that for about 2 weeks, the gates would open again. Can you confirm or deny that?
Yeah, it's not, again, it's not gates opening. That's a misunderstanding of the bill itself. It's how many can we process and actually deport. When you raise the standard for people coming across, when you increase the detention beds, when you increase deportation flights, you're not letting people in. And people are thinking about how the Biden administration is running it now. Right now, the Biden administration is allowing, for instance, 1,500 people a day just to come to the ports of entry, get a work permit, and get released in the country. People coming between ports of entry get what's called a notice to appear and get released in the country. All of that stops. We're focused on how many people can we process quickly and then deport out of the country, not release into the country. It would be absolutely absurd for anyone to be able to propose something to say we're just going to slow the number of releases. We're focused on how do we actually enforce our border and get us back to 0 people actually crossing the border illegally. Every administration has struggled to be able to get the authorities in place.
I mean, again, this tiered quote-unquote shutdown, these tiered shutdown triggers that that Senator Lankford is talking about. So I just want
like any of them.
Well, I don't even understand. This is to deport people. This is to stop what's happening, and yet you have these thresholds that are being met every week, and in some cases every day. There's also a 8,500 migrant encounters in a single day shutdown threshold that's been reported, which has been exceeded routinely at places like Eagle Pass and now in Arizona and California, too.
But handing out work permits to the first 1,500 or something, they won the lotto. I mean, I don't want one person in, let alone a threshold of, maybe 1,500 get work permits, then 5,000, then we shut down at 8,700. I mean, it reminds me of COVID and those stupid random mitigations that they put in place. Everything's random.
Well, Langford is telling the American people that those characterizations are wrong. That's not what's happening. That's what's happening now, and the legislation he's negotiating would cure all of this, and he addressed work permits, too.
So if you come to a port of entry right now, the Biden administration is just giving a work permit the first day you walk across the border. You don't have to apply for asylum. You don't have to qualify for anything. It's literally just show up, tell us your name, and you're in the country. They're just asking that, quote unquote, tell us in advance that you're coming. That's their only limitation on it. The second group is people apply for asylum. They don't actually qualify for asylum. They just apply for it. If they apply for it 180 days, they get a work permit. These are the folks that are driving all the blue cities crazy because they're wandering around all of these different cities on it. We end both of those to be able to make sure that the only people that are getting a work permit coming through this process are the people that have gone through a strenuous evaluation, have been evaluated, are likely to be able to end up with asylum. Those are the individuals because they're most likely going to stay here. That's a fraction of the people that go through the process. The vast majority of people that actually go through this process will be turned around and when deported. We are still the United States of America. We are still open to legal immigration in the process. And if people are legally going through the process and they qualify and they've gone through the vetting and such, yes, we would still continue to be able to have those work permits, but we're stopping the free work permit pass out at the border. And if you just sign up and give us your name, you'll get a work permit. Those just end.
So, again, if I take Langford at face value, then that means that you believe that the White House and the Senate Majority Leader are negotiating in good faith for legislation that would accomplish what you're accomplishing, what you say it would accomplish. I find that very difficult to believe. What I find much easier to believe, what it much more sounds like, whether Langford is true about his intentions or not, is exactly what he suggested is an unfair accusation, which is that this is slowing down the pace of entry but not changing the system, from a flood to a stream. I mean, just explain to me how the people that have been promoting open borders from the outset of this administration, starting at the top with the big guy, are doing a 180 because Jim Langford's involved. It strains the bounds of credulity for me. Roger, South Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I don't believe you either, Dan. And the thing about it that gets old with these people, it's on the minute that they change 180. Okay, whether they be on both sides of Congress. Jim Langford, when was the last time anybody heard this guy do anything, this guy out of Oklahoma? No, I believe this. Until we are ready to confront, like, the cartel problem down there, okay, and like Amy said, okay, we already had the blue cities. The Chicago Crime Commission will tell you we probably had 600,000 to 700,000 illegals in the whatever our tri-state area, Cook, Will, DePage. I mean, this is not solving anything.
Thanks for the call, Roger. Well, it's something else too. So, on the one hand, Jim Langford is saying this, which you're saying what you just heard, which again necessarily means that there is open-mindedness to what Jim Langford is proposing to the ends it would accomplish from the White House. And here's what Peter Doocy is reporting about the position of the White House.
Harris, roughly 800 border crossers got away yesterday. 800 more will get away today. 800 more will get away tomorrow. There is no known plan for them from an administration that already has a years-long backlog to adjudicate the border crossers they do catch.
So I'm supposed to believe the administration that fits the description you just heard from Peter Doocy is an administration that is working constructively with Oklahoma Senator Jim Lankford and Mitch McConnell to end illegal crossings, get the number down to 0, as Jim Lankford said. Come on. Carl in Big Cabin, Oklahoma.
Good morning. Hey, I'm going to harken back to they want to just get asylum, but not asylum. They want citizenship for these people. Back in the 80s, Reagan gave citizenship, and we're going to close the border and have tight enforcement. The enforcement never happened. We had all those people that became citizens, and they're not following the law now, this administration, enforcing it, I should say. What makes you think they would enforce a new law stopping people from illegal aliens from crossing the border? I'm not.
Thanks for the call, Carl. Past this prologue is Carl's point. It's a good one.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Closer to home, the situation with migrant housing, because it's just a housing crisis, both in Chicago and the suburbs at 6:06.
And the Biden campaign is trying to win over Taylor Swift's heart. We'll explain. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Mayor Brandon Johnson delaying migrant shelter evictions in the city of Chicago. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
President Biden is weighing the options. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After meeting with top advisors and cabinet members determining the U.S. response to the deadly attack at a base in Jordan. But Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin just told Fox,
we should have already responded, but this administration is not geared up for that.
Some GOP lawmakers want the U.S. to attack Iran directly. The 3 American soldiers killed are identified as reservists from Georgia, Sergeant William Rivers and Specialist Brianna Moffett and Kennedy Sanders.
A U.S. official has confirmed to Fox News that the Iran-backed drone that killed those 3 troops and injured more than 40 others was actually mistaken for a U.S. drone that was set to return to base at the same time. The White House is refusing to comment, but so far there have been at least 165 attacks on U.S. forces since October 17th.
Well, as Fox's Brooke segment, and that is when war broke out in Gaza. And as Israel still battles Hamas there, it's killed 3 Palestinian militants in the West Bank. Fox's Jonathan Savage reports.
According to Israel, Hamas were cynically using a hospital as a hideout. CCTV footage appears to show around a dozen armed undercover operatives pacing the corridors. They include 3 disguised as women and others posing as medical staff. The Israeli military says one of the 3 men killed was a member of Hamas and was planning an attack inspired by the massacre of October the 7th.
House Republicans may vote in committee today to advance impeachment for Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, blaming him for allowing a record surge of illegal immigration. Congressman August Pfluger tells Fox,
the executive branch has one job, and that's to enforce the laws that are on the book.
They also accuse Mayorkas of breach of public trust. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries calls it an impeachment sham, a stunt that'll go nowhere in the Senate.
The House Republicans have clearly turned their ever-shrinking majority over to the extremists.
America's listening to Fox News.
37 degrees in Chicago at 6:02. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. A 53-year-old food delivery driver was killed in a shooting in the Inglewood neighborhood on Monday night. Chicago police say they're trying to determine a motive. Mayor Brandon Johnson is delaying migrant shelter evictions in Chicago. The mayor announcing yesterday the extension of the 60-day policy for those who cross the border illegally. Some may be seeking asylum in the city's temporary emergency shelter system.
This has been unprecedented. This challenge has certainly been a weight in our city.
But there are still differences between Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Johnson over building new shelters.
There are aspects of this that there are disagreements about, and sometimes those leak into the public. But the reality is we all understand our responsibilities here, and it is to have a humanitarian response to a humanitarian crisis.
Johnson, though, saying the state hasn't lived up to their end of the bargain.
The state of Illinois committed to 2,200 beds, right? And so far they have 200. There's still a commitment to 2,000 more beds. And again, the goal is, of course, is to resettle families as fast as we can.
The state has already allocated $160 million in taxpayer funds to help the city. Federal prosecutors are pushing for prison time for the longtime chief of staff of former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. Prosecutors asking a judge yesterday to give Tim Mapes between 4 and 6 years. Mapes is set to be sentenced February 12. Police are investigating after a Muslim student wearing a hijab was attacked by another student at a Glendale Heights school. School officials said late yesterday there was no evidence the attack was motivated by religious intolerance. Chicago sports. The Bulls take on the Raptors tonight. Big Ten hoops. Number 14 Fighting Illini back in action when they visit Ohio State. The news is a service of Dan and Amy 24/7 around the clock, all day, every day. Listen now, Dan and Amy 247.com. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains basic economics.
See, what you do when you raise the minimum wage is something else. Not only do you put people out of work, but you put businesses out of business, small businesses especially, and you reduce the ability of people to start working in their lives because they're overpriced.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Larry Nora, founder and CEO of UStore, a network of award-winning self-storage facilities in the Chicago area, and a customer of Signature Bank. We've developed over 70 storage centers throughout the city and suburbs, and our business continues to grow. We need a bank who understands the neighborhoods and communities where we are making investments. We found that in Signature Bank. They know this city and its neighborhoods because they are based right here in Chicago. Finding a local banking institution like Signature Bank has been critical to the success of UStore, and we look forward to a long-term relationship.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life. I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself. Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them. Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. How did Hamas turn Gaza into a military fortress for the express purpose of the conquest of Israel and the genocide of the Jews? In large part, the United Nations helped to finance Hamas, provided cover for its terrorist operations by treating them as a governing body, and allowing Hamas to raid the funding for the UN's Relief and Works Administration for Palestine. Now we know more. The UN RWA went further than collude to divert aid to support terrorism. At least a dozen of its staff actively participated in the October 7 massacres that killed more than 1,200 Israelis. The evidence from Hamas's videos and uncovered by IDF troops fighting in Gaza finally forced the Biden administration to suspend financial support for the UN RWA, which fired the staffers identified. This should serve as a lesson for all of us. The U.S. and the West should permanently stop such financial support until the Palestinians have leadership that will put it to other uses than genocidal wars.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu.
6:07. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and we'll start this morning on I-80 in Will County on the eastbound side between I-55 and Hobart. Rollover accident, right lane blocked. The crash also has a vehicle in the ditch as well. Lots of emergency equipment showing up on the scene. Bishop Ford inbound jammed up 111th into the Ryan merge. The Dan Ryan 18 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle. Locals jamming up at 43rd. Express jamming up from 43rd into the Stevenson this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Clouds and a bit of drizzle for today. There could be a little snow mixed in. Look for a high of 40. Cloudy tonight, low 33. And then clouds tomorrow, the high 47. Sun and clouds, a mild day on Thursday, the high Thursday 48. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Drizzle out there right now. 37 at O'Hare, 37 Midway, 36 in Aurora, 36 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. No shelters in the suburbs? No migrant shelters in the suburbs? Question mark. Chicago is where they think they're going. That's where they expect to be arriving, not in Elmhurst, not in other suburbs, but in the city of Chicago. It's also where all of the services are that they need when they arrive, said one Governor Jelly Belly. So no shelters in the suburbs, and it's not supported by Governor Jelly Belly. He's the great suburban defender. He's going to protect the suburbs from the incursion of migrants, send them all down to Chicago where they think they're going, as you said, for BLM Brandon to figure out. You know, it's funny. I'd like to believe Spalding. I'd like to believe him. Another sincere guy, like we were just talking about all last hour, the sincerity from inside the Beltway on border security, on war and peace. So I'd like to believe that Jelly Belly is as sincere as the big guy is, Mr. 10%. But then we're reminded, thanks to the State of the Village meeting in Glen Ellen, that same Governor Jelly Belly, through his emissaries like Tara Costa Howard, the ghoulish legislator who represents Glen Ellen, way to go, Glen Ellen, are petitioning these villages with money to say, if you take in migrants, we'll give you this state cash.
Right. Didn't they do that in Joliet? They offered them millions, and the people said, no, we don't want that.
Well, ultimately, they did.
Tried to do it under,
after first the Joliet Township supervisor took it, and then under pressure, he relinquished it. But the point is, hey, they belong in the city, but hey, suburbs, here's some cash if you'll take migrants. So which is it? Yeah. Is anybody going to ask Jelly Belly that? No, they're not. Here's Mayor Mark Sinek, who is the village president of Glen Ellen, at the State of the Village Forum. Well, certainly an august affair. I saw the Plague of Women Viper signage was there, so had to be a lot of deep thinking going on there. So here's what he's saying. We got this offer from Tara Costa Howard, so what do you want to do, Glen Ellen denizens?
$11 million that the village that made available to municipalities. My question to you, what do you think we should do?
So there was an article just today that I read in the Tribune, and there had been outreach to municipalities.
Yep.
I was just at Wheaton City Council meeting on Monday night because they're working through some mechanism around, responses. They too are chief of police in Wheaton, 0 incidents, monitoring, no public resources used.
Yep.
Bus drops, public station, people get on the train, they go. So
now you understand what I believe the $11 million is for, is to have migrants come to Glen Ellen and locate here and settle here and remain here, and what that would entail to accomplish that. Go ahead again.
Yeah, I'm sure Mayor Sinek there has it right. So what do you want to do? He put the question to you, Glen Ellen residents. What do you want to do?
312-642-5600. Turnkey.pro answer line. You could also hit us up on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Sounds like a great deal to me. You get to live your values. You get to live those Glen Ellen values. And they're subsidized, which is also one of your values. Subsidizing the things that you believe in. Other people being forced to, of course.
And then they can go to Hinsdale Central, Hinsdale South. Oh, the people are going to love it.
Hinsdale, they'll go to Glenbard schools. They'll go to the Glenbard schools.
Glen Ellen, okay.
Yeah, Glenbard schools. They'll go to Glenbard West and they'll do a remake of Lucas, but featuring a kid from Venezuela. Fine, great, wonderful. We'll subsidize that too. Jelly Belly will. What do you think? I mean, such an offer.
They should do it because Oak Park, they're kicking them out tomorrow because it's the end of the month, 31st. Remember, that's when the Carrington Hotel, they have to be out of there. And
well, we'll see. Maybe they'll be more generous of heart and spirit like BLM Brandon. They'll extend it for another month. Let's buy some time here. But, how do you not, if you're a member of the Plague of Women Vipers in Glen Ellen, if you're on the school board at one of these high schools or grade schools there, if you're a village elder, how do you not say thank you, Representative Tara Costa Howard? Thank you for abortion on demand. Thank you for all of the wonderful expressions of Marxist policy you visited upon us. And now we get money for it too? And the nice thing about this, as you heard from the mayor, it's not just a Band-Aid. No. This is money to welcome our permanent neighbors.
Live your values.
And what could be a greater tribute to the welcoming community moniker than that? Nothing? Nobody wants to jump? It's interesting. I didn't hear a lot of people jumping at the chance in that meeting that was posted online either. Very strange. Sort of the cognitive dissonance is just shocking to me. I'm stunned. Meanwhile, on the other side of the aisle, if you want to participate in something at the grassroots level, now you're not going to get subsidized by the government to participate in this piece, but you can always change your mind, throw in with the open borders crowd. Maybe you've got some rental property there. Get a long-term lease on that. Anyway, the other side, we've got this Take Our Country Back trucker convoy that departed from Virginia Beach yesterday.
Mm-hmm. They're heading to Eagle Pass.
Just outside Eagle Pass. It was interesting. Tucker Carlson talked to Doc Pete Chambers, Green Beret, by the way, including a medical doctor. And he gave a little preview of what's happening now and what's going to happen. The basis of the Take Our Country Back convoy. And this is people living their values too. So you're seeing BLM Brandon live his values, Jelly Belly live his values. A lot of these suburban residents in places like Glen Ellen and Hinsdale and Western Springs not live their values. Very interesting. Not live their stated values. Well, Doc P. Chambers and a bunch of other Americans are going to rally outside Eagle Pass to peacefully protest and to express their viewpoint and focus people's attention, since it's there's always in danger of waning for another shot of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Focus people's attention on border security. Here's Doc Chambers.
Now they're going to be leaving out of, on the 29th, Virginia Beach, which is where the 1607 Covenant, the landing, was signified the John Smith landing in 1607, where they planted a cross on the beach and said, hey, this is a covenant to this nation, to God. And then they're going to leave from there, and they're going to go down through Florida. They're going to cut across Highway 10 through Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Houston, into Dripping Springs, Texas, where I'll be working out of, and then on to near Eagle Pass. Now, I'm part of the advisory of this, and as I advised, I used to be in that same unit that's down there. That's the unit that has a streamer on it from the Alamo. It's a very historic Texas unit. And so they are down there holding the line. And I know those soldiers. I worked with them. I took care of them as a doctor with Operation Lone Star. They're busy. So the convoy is going to go just a little bit shy, just a little bit to the north, really, in an area about 30 miles away in Quemado, Texas, to a children's camp. A beautiful lady down there who has taken care of orphans and widows. You can't write this stuff in a book. I couldn't make this up. But she was overrun, first of all, by the COVID mandates that said you got to shut down. You can't keep running this shelter, number one. Number two, she was overrun by the numbers of volumes of illegals that were coming through her neighborhood, trying to get into her food pantry. And then number three, the cartels are a significant presence in that area because that is the end point of where they do the end around. So we are looking at the bright, shiny object that is Eagle Pass. That's a bright, shiny object. Look here. The droids that you're not looking for, if you will, are just to the north, right in that location. And so what this is going to do is it's going to bring light to it because we have to understand that there is a constitution, both state and federal, and that we have to, number one, expose those that argue things in the Hegelian dialectics, if you will, of tort law, and look at the Constitution, which is exactly what this is a focus on. The Constitution, we the people. That's why we the people will be riding along, mama bears, cops, veterans, truckers, and going to that location to bring light. There is nothing nefarious about this. There is, matter of fact, I am suggesting to them that they, and they know this, that this is a peaceful demonstration. This is how this will be.
Hegelian dialectic, very impressive there, Doc Chambers. So when you hear all these people talk on all sides of these issues, who comes across to you as being solution-oriented, being principled in the direction of the rule of law, and who comes across as shining you on and trying to hi-hat you with political cant? That's probably a good question to ask when you're listening to somebody explain themselves. Does this sound like somebody who's dealing on the level with me that has a pretty good understanding of the issue at hand? Some detailed understanding, like you just heard from Doc Chambers, for example? And, and is coming from a foundation I understand. And then there's other people that you get the feeling like you're playing a rhetorical three-card Monte game. You know what I mean? I don't know, like when you listen to Jelly Belly or you listen to BLM Brandon tell you that nobody questions his leadership. That's beyond the pale. Yeah, that he's busy raising a black wife and 3 black kids, and just other bizarre sort of statements that are not germane and generally nonsensical. Oh, and by the way, you're a bad person if you don't agree with him.
Of course. We got a great text message. Mayor Brandon Johnson's making national news more concerned about Gaza than the migrants.
We've got to get that ceasefire resolution passed through the city council. That's big.
And then, and they keep fighting. They're going to have another council meeting over it again tomorrow, and it's just chaos over there. Who cares? Why do city councils pass resolutions like that? That is the dumbest. That is the waste of time. That's a great example of just spinning your wheels. We also got a text message. Dan, the movie would be called El Lucas.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And I don't know. I mean, Cheech Marin could star as they could do like a Lucas Benjamin Buttons mashup, and Cheech Marin could go back in time to be El Lucas at Glenbard West. I like it. We'll get that guy's number.
That.
We'll do a screenplay together. George in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, Dan, if some of these suburbs agree to let these migrants settle, do you think they can get one of those big metal signs that say, we are a sanctuary, our sister sanctuary city is Chicago?
Yeah, right. Thanks for the call, George.
I have to
nobody,
laugh so I don't cry.
Nobody wants to be the leading light in the leafy suburbs. Boy, I mean, just color me stunned. I appreciate what I think Mayor Sinek of Glen Ellen was doing was very much like what Josh McBroom did in Naperville. So here we got this $11 million offer from our state representative. Her name is Tara Costa Howard, because probably most of you don't even know. You're just voting for Marxism blindly. $11 million. So what do people want to do? Huh? I think that was very, couched. That was, baiting the League of Women Voters set to pony up, stand up and be counted. Come on. No. Yes, let's take the money and bring in migrants to be our new neighbors. Nobody exclaiming that as soon as the news was revealed by the mayor. What a surprise. Those vipers in the league, the plague, they're not unwilling to take positions on issues. They support every tax increase and every government spending program and every abortion and every expression of illiberal practices in K through 12 education, every other institution. Why so quiet on this one? There's $11 million on the table on top of it.
Dan got another text message. Dan and Amy, for the movie at Lucas, it should center around soccer instead of football.
Well, yes, right. Yes, all right. We'll work up a treatment on that and see if we can maybe that $11 million, if it's not going to be taken up by Glen Ellen residents to help resettle migrants, it can be used to finance our screenplay. Yeah. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
As most Americans suffer financially, gold just hit an all-time high. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why you need a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs. Secure your IRA or your 401k right now. Text SHELTER to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
Oh, my God. All right, I'm doing it soon, taking the fruits and veggies. Why? Did not get enough fruits and vegetables yesterday, and that's where balance of nature comes in. I feel good that I'm doing something for myself. 31 whole fruits and vegetables, real food, real nutrition. People who take it have increased energy. They have the ability to keep doing the things that they love even as they get old. So when you give your body the best possible fuel, guess what? You do have more energy and you're stronger. 6 capsules a day, that's what I take. 3 fruits, 3 veggies, and voila. The number to call, 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or go online to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Author, psychologist, and professor Dr. Jordan B. Peterson is coming to the Chicago Theater on February 12th with his highly anticipated We Who Wrestle with God tour. The best-selling author of 12 Rules for Life and Beyond Order has sold out more than 400 venues, and his online programs have helped tens of thousands of people. Tickets are on sale now at livenation.com.
Attention business owners and anyone who makes some marketing decisions for your company. Amy Jacobson here. It's a new year, and what are you doing to jumpstart your business and reach new customers? If you do the same thing you did in 2023, then you should expect the same results. But we have some good news. We still have opportunities for you to become a Food for the Poor business benefactor. Make a one-time tax-deductible donation of $2,500, and AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air right here on this radio station. That gift will feed more than 60 children in Latin America and the Caribbean for an entire year. And you'll reach a new audience of potential customers. Don't wait. Call Anjanette Natowski right now, 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951. 8951 or visit 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Frank Vance, co-owner of Egan Vance Insurance Agency on Chicago's Northwest Side and a customer of Signature Bank. In my line of work, we pride ourselves on being there for our clients when they need it the most, and we recognize when someone does the same for us. As Egan Vance was expanding, we wanted to buy a much sought-after building in the neighborhood. We couldn't waste any time. I called Signature Bank, and that was all it took. I didn't have to talk to multiple people in siloed departments with multiple forms to fill out. One call did it all. As the one who was always looking out for my clients, it was a great change to know that my bank, Signature Bank, was looking out for me.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
On the suburbs, text from 630 that Mark Sinek, who is the mayor of Glen Ellen we were discussing.
Yeah.
So text from 630. He probably wanted to have migrants resettled in Glen Ellen. He's a rhino. I don't know him as well, so maybe my read on that is wrong, that it was a subtle dig, a challenge to live your values. I know that's the case with McBroom. And by the way, McBroom, too, apparently at the next Naperville City Council meeting, there's going to be some, the clown car of paid leftist protesters are going to show up to protest him over.
Why?
Because he made them look bad. Here's a sign-up sheet. Anybody want to sign up? No. Okay, no sign-up sheet.
Good, let them protest. That sounds great.
Yeah, and by the way...
bring it.
By the way, everybody, New York Times, headline. Hey, we're in the papers.
Yep.
The world is watching, Glen Ellen, Naperville, Hinsdale. The world is watching. The world is watching. The world is watching. The world is watching. As buses of migrants arrive in Chicago suburbs, residents debate the role of their towns. Well, Mayor Sinek of Glen Ellen and every other suburb and every other village official and resident, what say you? You don't want to be silent in this debate, do you? Tell us where you stand. Lead the way. Mayor Sinek, what should the response be to Tara Costa Howard and Governor Pritzker and their generous $11 million offer? Why don't we have a sign-up sheet in Naperville as City Councilman Josh McBroom proposed? Oh, by the way, on the L. Lucas, I think I'm going to have to retitle that.
Okay.
So I like so the idea, and then this is in its infancy. So it's Lucas meets Benjamin Button. Cheech Marin plays Lucas, who goes from an old man to a boy. Okay. Then he gets a college scholarship to go to U of I to play soccer. He transitions to a woman, which is paid for by the state.
To
play in the female girls soccer team, where he dominates, but then he has to leave school because he has a butt baby.
What color is the butt baby? People don't realize that that's a thing, and you can choose what color you want for your butt baby.
Yeah.
So that they can experience childbirth like women do. Oh, isn't that
right.
cute?
And then
then eventually he goes on to play in the women's Olympic team, and he takes his shirt off, and that's when they reveal he never got the implants.
And then he becomes the Secretary of Transportation. The end.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, we'll take more ideas for our screenplay because we got to round out the cast. So, I mean, that's an issue.
And ideas are flowing in on the text line, so keep them coming.
And by the way, I was thinking all weekend when this verdict came down, this $83 million verdict in the E. Jean Carroll defamation case against Trump, that she had a lot of Christine Blasey Ford in her. She was reminded me of a lot of Blasey Ford, and apparently, there was I don't know, I was intuiting it. There's reason to make that connection. In point of fact, E. Jean Carroll has a connection to Blasey Ford at 6:36.
Oh, I can't wait. Besides them both being cray-cray. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
6:33 in Chicago, 37 degrees this morning, and light drizzle is falling. House Republicans are moving forward with the effort to impeach DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas over his handling of the border, while House Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries calls it a politically motivated sham. The Republican-led majority and the House Homeland Security Committee members will mark up articles of impeachment today. The Department of Defense is identifying the 3 U.S. soldiers who were killed in a drone strike in Jordan. They all hailed from the same Georgia unit. Those killed were Sergeant William Rivers, Specialist Kennedy Sanders, and Specialist Breonna Moffett. The U.S. is saying they will respond decisively to any aggression against U.S. troops in the Middle East. Fox's Kristen Goodwin has more.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken addresses the 3 U.S. service members killed in Jordan by an Iranian-backed militia's drone attack.
And the president's been crystal clear. We will respond decisively to any aggression.
Adding the U.S. remains focused on the conflict in Gaza, speaking with officials in Qatar to get hostages out.
This is at the very top of our list and has been from day one.
Calling NATO stronger than ever after launching its largest drills since the Cold War, a warning to adversaries.
This alliance is ready, and it is able to defend every square inch of NATO territory.
Adding he believes Hungary will soon approve Sweden's NATO accession. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
A massacre in a remote area of the Mojave Desert likely stemmed from a dispute over marijuana. That, according to San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dykes, who describes the area where 6 were murdered.
In the last year, our marijuana enforcement team served 11 search warrants in the immediate area where the murders took place. And they served approximately 40 search warrants to the west of that area that we call the Shadow Mountain area. So this is an area known for illicit marijuana.
On Sunday, 5 suspects were arrested connected with the shooting. Dykes confirmed 6 Hispanic men were shot last Tuesday night, and 4 of the bodies were burned. Amazon pumping the brakes on its iRobot purchase, maker of those robotic vacuums. On Monday, both companies revealed they mutually agreed to call off the deal. There was no path to regulatory approval in the EU. As a result, Amazon will have to fork over $94 million in a separation fee. Here in Chicago, a 53-year-old food delivery driver was killed in a shooting in the Inglewood neighborhood on Monday night. Mayor Brandon Johnson delaying migrant shelter evictions in Chicago. The mayor announcing yesterday the extension of the 60-day policy for those who crossed the border illegally and entered the city's temporary emergency shelter system. And the Illinois State Board of Elections is expected to vote today on whether to remove former President Donald Trump from the state's primary ballot in March. The Bulls take on the Raptors tonight, while in the Big Ten, the number 14 Fighting Illini are back in action visiting Ohio State. The news is service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum wants you to know what they're afraid of.
Gas prices were down. Unemployment for Black, Hispanic, women, historic lows. Things were headed in the right direction. People were satisfied, happy with the trajectory of the country when Donald Trump was in office. So what is the fear? It's made up. It's a lie.
The Officer Tatum Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
A massive data leak, being called the mother of all breaches, has been announced. Billions upon billions of records with sensitive data from previous breaches, newly stolen data, and privately sold databases have been exposed. Cybercriminals can use this information to commit identity theft. Help protect yourself and join the millions who trust LifeLock. LifeLock detects identity threats and alerts you if your information is being used. If you become a victim, LifeLock will work to fix it. Save up to 25% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com.
Hey, to social engineering and leftist corporations, do they make you feel like we're kind of living in the twilight zone? Well, you're not alone. Now, our friends at Pure Talk, my wireless company, they know the silent majority is fed up, and I'm calling on all of those Americans, stand with a company that champions your values. The average family is saving almost $1,000 a year. Dial pound 250, say the keyword save now. Do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month from our friends at Pure Talk.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I've just been doing great, and I just feel like it's a definite advantage to take them. Let me just say one other thing. I mentioned to my doctor that I was taking Balance of Nature, and they said they were very positive about that. And they said that was really good. That's a good product, and so I've been very pleased.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Staples stores provide innovative products and services for small business, remote workers and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store.
Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Lowe's. Get the appliances you need right away at Lowe's. Explore one of the largest assortments of brands you trust in-store or online at the best values. Plus, take advantage of their everyday financing offers. Traveling this morning on the Kennedy. Right now, 30 minutes O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike already jamming up Manheim to Austin, 44 minutes, 390 to the old post office. Stevenson on the brakes between Harlem and Kedzie. Dan Ryan this morning, 21 between 95th and the Burns Circle interchange. Brake lights flashing in the locals inbound right at 47th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Drizzle, maybe a wet snowflake this morning too mixed in, high 39. Cloudy and 32 tonight. Tomorrow, clouds and sunshine with a high of 47. Thursday, a high of 49. 37 at O'Hare. Your next news update at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I'm going to get to the E. Jean Carroll defamation settlement, but again, just to update, we're working up a new treatment of Lucas in advance of migrants resettling in Glen Ellen, thanks to the resettlement money provided by the state, courtesy of Jelly Belly Pritzker. I'm springing for the Chardonnay for all of those housewives in Glen Ellen.
Okay, and that's fair.
Yeah. And so
they probably want champagne too, but okay. We got a text message. Dan and Amy, stop with El Lucas. It should be called Senor Lucas.
No.
Senior Lucas.
No, I think I've got it. So this is going to be Lucas meets Benjamin Button, and one more meets Victor Victoria, with the great Julie Andrews. So it's going to be called Carajito Carajita, which is
Dime más, por favor.
Venezuelan slang for for boy and girl. Carajito Carajita, because it's a story of a Venezuelan migrant that resettles in Glen Ellen, thanks to Glen Ellen residents living their values, subsidized by everybody else's money, and goes to Glenbard West, right? You know, got to keep the. By the way, they're
Right.
remaking Roadhouse right now with Jake Gyllenhaal, so we can remake Lucas, I think.
Of course we can. And I'm getting text messages from people, including my sister, who was in the movie Lucas, who said, if you remake it, they want in. They want to be in part of the cast.
Okay, all right. Well, they're
like if they do the gym scene or something, or the soccer field scene, they could be in the stands.
Yeah, they can't be in the student body anymore, you know, because they've sort of aged out. Unless we
Okay.
have the entire school Benjamin buttoned. They go from old to young. But yeah,
Okay.
maybe teachers. They could be fans, sure. Corey Haim is not available, so I've nominated. Well, he's not. I've nominated Cheech Marin to play at least the older Lucas. I haven't settled on a young Lucas yet. But I mean, again, we're just roundtabling this at this point. Okay, so so he goes to Glenbard West. He falls in love with soccer. He gets a scholarship because he's a migrant. He's a dreamer. To go to U of I. So we'll pay for it. No problem. And then, and by the way, your kid in Glen Ellen with the, goes to Glenbard West with the 34 ACT and the 4.0, who's on band and in drama and is a 2-sport letterman. He's not getting into U of I. Just FYI. So that'll be.
Well, you got to give up your spot.
Well, one of Lucas's friends will be like, that's a composite of one of Lucas's friends, just so I can get that. I can shoehorn that other ancillary issue in there.
Okay.
So then, all right. So then he gets a scholarship. Then he is essentially poisoned by the West, and he says, "I'm a girl now, and I want to play on the girls' team." So then he goes and plays on the girls' team on scholarship at U of I. But then he says, it's time, I want to have a family. So then he has a butt baby. And
you're forgetting something. Who plays the grandpa? Edward James Olmos.
Oh, yeah.
He's got to be in that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's it's a real downgrade from his more recent appearance in the Mayans, but okay, sure, he's got range. Edward James Olmos,
Okay.
and I won't even mention.
Don't.
I won't even mention.
Don't.
Well, you could
Just don't.
You could be
He's a good
Grandpa's
actor.
love
He's-
interest in this. You could get another Jacobson in the movie.
Stop it.
You've got a Hollywood
I can be the
credit.
athletic director.
Yeah. So I'm still
West.
so then after he has the butt baby down in
Yes, okay, go
Champaign.
back. What are we going to name the butt baby? Jaime?
Oh, by the way, I have
Or-
this in reverse order too because he's Benjamin Button. So I mean, again, this is why you think through these things. So I'm actually going in reverse. It should be start at old and then we're working all the way back. All right. So he has. So he has the right. So then I got to figure out what happens after he has the butt baby in Champagne, and then we got to work it all the way back to see. Yeah. Okay. All right. I mean, again, this is taking shape in real time, so you're going to have to bear with us a bit.
Yeah.
I think
A
we've
work
got
in progress.
Yeah, I think we've got some good outlines here, though. All right. Well, we'll take more suggestions on this, but please try to keep the integrity of the germ of an idea we have here, so that we can get this done and to a production house post haste. All right. Speaking of manufactured dramas, I don't know. You buying this E. Jean Carroll settlement, and the jury has spoken, and we know when juries speak, we're supposed to respect the verdicts. We're not supposed to question the verdicts. That certainly was Nikki Haley's posture on Meet the Press over the weekend.
Do you not trust the jury and their findings, Ambassador?
I absolutely trust the jury, and I think that they made their decision based on the evidence. I just don't think that should take him off the ballot. I think the American people will take him off the ballot. I think that's the best way to go forward, is not let him play the victim, let him play the loser. That's what we want him to do at the end of the day.
Oh, now I despise Nikki Haley. I did not hear that until today, just now. She's evidence There was no exculpatory evidence allowed in the trial. They tried to get the E. Jean Carroll interview on CNN where she's flirting with, Anderson Cooper, talking that rape is sexy. They wouldn't allow that. There's so much evidence that they wouldn't allow. Her sick, disgusting text messages or social media posts where she's sexually deviant that are so gross I can't even read on the air. Is Nikki Haley, did she fall on her head? I mean, this woman is an opportunistic. She can't even remember the day, the month, the season, the year the incident happened. This whole thing is being financed by Reid Hoffman. We all know who he is.
LinkedIn, but
right.
Okay, but I mean that's separate and distinct. Although I mean it's relevant. It's not relevant to the trial. It is relevant to the politics of it, though. The Trump legal team, of course, is going. The Trump legal team is going to appeal this. One of the issues is the presiding judge, potentially had a conflict of interest. That Lewis Kaplan, the judge, had mentored E. Jean Carroll's lawyer, Roberta Kaplan, in the 1990s. They're not related, but they had a professional relationship of some sort.
Oh.
So that potentially is a problem, I would say. It was never disclosed. It should have been. That's number one. Number two, here's what E. Jean Carroll had to say. She went on yesterday to that show that Oprah's best friend got for being Oprah's best friend on CBS.
Oh, Gayle King's.
Yeah, that's her. Is. Yeah, E. Jean Carroll on all that transpired and what she's going to do now with this $83 million that she's not going to see. But go on, you can spend it in theory.
Hans Christian Andersen's great fairy tale, The Emperor Has No Clothes, that is written about Donald Trump. It's just, we're the ones who clothe him in all this power. He has none himself. It's his followers. It's his hangers-on. In the court, they were strutting back and forth and handing him messages. It was, right, Robbie?
Ms. Carroll, you say he's nothing. You say the emperor has no clothes. The emperor is trying to run for president again.
And right now is leading.
And right now, the polls suggest it's a coin flip. It's very close. Have you heard from Joe Biden's campaign arm about potentially campaigning against the former president, Donald Trump?
No.
Are you interested in doing so?
Do anything I can.
Yeah, I bet you would.
Oh, yeah, go do it, because you're bat blank crazy. And I did say this yesterday. She reminds me so much of Christine Blasey Ford, because they're both in the same cray-cray cuckoo camp.
Well, apparently she texted with Tara Reid, the woman who accused President Joe Biden of sexual assault during the Me Too movement, and was dutifully ignored because you're only supposed to believe women who comport with your politics on the left. So Tara and Jean Carroll were in communication. Apparently, this is Tara Reid's reporting of it. She posted screenshots of September 2021 direct messages with Carroll, in which Jean Carroll allegedly said, "Tara, I tweeted about Dr. Ford because of Brett Kavanaugh's blowtorching of Roe v. Wade. Someday you and I must have tea together." Tara, you're a strong, valiant, feisty woman. The haters are swarming us all today. I'm just staying off Twitter and ignoring it. Reid responded, "You tweeted your support for Dr. Ford. That's why I asked you. It's hard, and I do not always feel strong, but rather isolated. Thank you and have a good night." Tara Reid telling the Daily Signal, the Heritage Foundation publication, "The statement speaks for itself. It sounds like she was supporting the political cause, not the alleged victim." Huh. So, I mean, could she be advancing the political flag of her choice again here? Well, I texted my support for Blasey Ford because Brett Kavanaugh disagrees with me on abortion. So is that the same thing as believing her story? Should we believe Jean Carroll's story? Because a majority of Manhattanites in 2 civil trials concluded what they concluded about an incident where there are no witnesses, there is no surveillance video, There are all sorts of questions regarding and I know, well, that's because this is 30 years ago and so forth. There's all sorts of questions regarding her recollection of events. There are inconsistencies in statements she made. It's not possible that a majority of Manhattanites on a jury decided this was an opportunity to stick it to Trump, both at the civil trial determining that he was guilty of sexual abuse, not rape.
Yeah, not sexual assault, and this is not criminal. People have to remember that. I've been straightening people out. This is a civil matter.
Civil trial, majority, preponderance of the evidence, not reasonable doubt standard exactly, and then, of course, the absurd $83 million defamation judgment because he called her a liar. Well, he obviously disagrees that she's not telling the truth. So what do you term a person like that? She's made herself a public figure. So I would think the actual malice standard would apply. And I mean, that's just an absurd decision. Of course he should appeal it.
I just despise women like Christine Blasey Ford and this E. Jean Carroll person. Trump he even said, I've never met her, and I believe him. And Brett Kavanaugh never touched that, never met her. These are women who are being taken over by the left to try and bring down a political candidate. And it's disgusting. I mean, E. Jean Carroll, Dan, she had a cat named Vagina.
Well, okay, but what does that mean? What does that mean?
I'm just saying that they were able to, a normal woman, they would not be able to commandeer and say, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go after him, and this is what you're going to say you did. That's what I think.
Jane in Rockford.
Hi, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, I just wanted to say that this is a disgrace. I, at the age of 22, was a victim of rape. I'm now 59 years old, and I could recount to you every sordid detail of that event. So the fact that this jury, this judge, believes that this woman, or did what they did, I guess, is just absurd. It's a disgrace, and I just can't even believe it. It's just unbelievable to me. And they really degrade those of us who are true victims of that crime. And anyway, I just wanted to add that to it.
Thank you, Jane. Appreciate that. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
People who suffer from arthritis are getting real pain relief with exciting biologic therapies at QC Kinetics.
The success rate is there, and there's no better way to treat yourself when it comes to dealing with pain.
Meet Tyler Vale, co-founder of QC Kinetics, who says they can't cure arthritis, but they can treat the pain.
If you think of the tide coming in and out on the beach and what it does, it erodes the sand, right? Can't stop the tide, but eventually when the sand or the beach gets bad enough, we backfill that beach with sand so that we get generations of enjoyment with that beach again. And the same thing happens with your knee or your shoulder or your hip or your back. We want to backfill the problems that have happened to this point. I'm not stopping the tide, so I'm not stopping the arthritis, but I want to get generations of enjoyment out of those joints again.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation. Learn more about how restorative biologic therapies can get you real and lasting joint pain relief.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. AM
560. The Answer.
And now it's time for In-Depth History with Frank from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world, just the history we don't know. Frank from Arlington Heights, take it away.
Good morning. There has been much gnashing of teeth lately over whether Michelle Obama is going to replace Joe Biden as a Democratic nominee. Unlikely as this is, there have been many of these quasi-royalist schemes pervading American politics throughout our history. We had the Adamses and the Bushes succeed in presidential dynasties. Thankfully, Hillary failed. We've had many senatorial dynasties, too, like the Kennedys, Cabot Lodges, the Byes of Indiana, and the Murkowskis. One early 20th century twist on this was having a widow succeed her husband as an appointee until a male successor could be groomed to take the role. Used mostly in the South, the most famous of these was Hattie Caraway of Arkansas, who decided that she didn't want to be just a placeholder appointee and successfully ran for the Senate in 1932 in her own right and won with the help of Senator Huey Long, who ironically had his wife, Rose, succeed him as an appointee after his assassination in 1935. The most interesting of all of these, though, would have to be the case of Lurleen Wallace of Alabama, who was elected governor in 1966 after her husband George was term limited out of office. Interestingly, during the campaign, she openly admitted that Alabamans would get her husband's leadership with her serving as a surrogate. Can't see this happening today with Michelle and Barack. Tragically, Lurleen died of uterine cancer in May 1968 after a long struggle with it, while George still found time to run for president under the American Independent Party label in 1968. It wasn't until later that he confessed to the error of his segregationist views.
Interesting. Of course, we've got a couple others more recently too, like Carnahan in Missouri, right? When Senator Carnahan died did he die in a plane crash?
And, Wellstone died in a plane crash in 2002, and then Carnahan had a plane crash against Ashcroft in 2000. Correct.
Right, but Wellstone's wife didn't succeed him. Carnahan's wife did, right? And then and that gave us was a gateway drug to Claire McCaskill, which was a disaster.
I believe.
Yeah.
Well, we had Jim Talent there first. I think he won.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The election against Carnahan, and then it was.
That's right.
Then McCaskill. McCaskill.
Yeah.
Fortunately, now we have Josh Hawley out of there. So.
So, Frank, am I to understand from your commentary that, with a historical perspective, don't expect Michelle Obama to replace Joe Biden?
Well, like you said many times in your show over this, I don't see how she's going to do it. Joe's going to have a say in it.
Not.
And it's she's not going to run. What are they going to do? Just appoint somebody? That'll look horrible. Hubert Humphrey didn't win in 1968 either, when he was essentially appointed. At the end there, I mean, he didn't have all the delegates. So I think Kennedy had more delegates than him, and of course Kennedy had been assassinated. So that's a mess. It doesn't look very democratic for the Democratic Party, the one defending democracy.
Very good, Frank. Very good, Frank, as always. Thank you. 707, Ted Dabrowski, all things Illinois policy related.
Today, rain, cloudy, a high of 40 degrees at 7 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
This hasn't happened since 1876. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Has been the only cabinet member ever was impeached. Alejandro Mayorkas may be the second. House Republicans accuse the Homeland Security Secretary of allowing a record surge of illegal immigration.
He is the person held accountable by the law passed by the People's House and the Senate to provide border security. He's failed to do that.
Congressman Mark Green heads up the Homeland Security Committee in the House preparing to advance impeachment today and tells Fox
he's intentionally subverted those laws with mass catch and release.
Democrats say Republicans have gone too extreme.
And this sham impeachment of Secretary Mayorkas is just another sad example.
House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries says it's a political stunt that'll go nowhere in the Senate. Still no retaliation yet for the Iran-backed militant attack on a U.S. base in Jordan that killed 3 American soldiers and injured 40. Some Republicans in Congress want the U.S. to attack Iran directly. Fox's Mark Meredith reports from the White House.
President Biden is still weighing all of those options to respond. The Pentagon has also publicly identified the victims of this weekend's attack. Their ages range from 23 to 46. They are Sergeant William Rivers, originally from New Jersey, but lately a Georgia resident, Specialist Kennedy Sanders of Georgia, and Specialist Breonna Moffett, also of the state of Georgia.
There's another attempt in another state trying to remove former President Trump from the primary ballot, this time in Illinois, just like in Maine and Colorado, accusing him of leading an insurrection with a Capitol riot. A former IRS contractor who leaked former President Trump's tax returns and the returns of other wealthy conservatives is now behind bars.
Former IRS contractor Charles Littlejohn apologized in court, saying he wanted to show how little the wealthy paid in tax. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. The federal judge said Littlejohn attacked democracy when he targeted a sitting president, and that she had no words over the fact that he was charged with just one count.
That's Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. America's listening to Fox News.
37 degrees in Chicago. 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer, good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A 53-year-old food delivery driver was killed in a shooting in the Inglewood neighborhood Monday night. Chicago police say they're trying to determine a motive and if the victim was the intended target. Mayor Brandon Johnson delaying migrant shelter evictions in Chicago. The mayor announcing yesterday the extension of the 60-day policy for those who cross the border illegally, some seeking asylum in the city's temporary emergency shelter system.
This has been unprecedented.
This challenge has certainly been a weight in our city.
All shelter residents originally scheduled to exit from January 16 through February 29th will be extended by 60 days from their original exit date.
In Massachusetts, for example, the state government established a statewide limit of 7,500 beds for 100 cities. Denver has instituted a 14-day limit for single individuals and 42 stays for families.
The move by the mayor follows pressure by more than a dozen aldermen who signed a letter last week urging Johnson to delay evictions. Federal prosecutors are pushing for prison time for the longtime chief of staff of former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. Prosecutors asked a judge yesterday to give Tim Mapes between 4 and 6 years behind bars. Mapes was found guilty in August of providing false material testimony under oath to a federal grand jury. Police are investigating after a Muslim student wearing a hijab was attacked by another student at a Glendale Heights school. School officials say there was no evidence of the attack being motivated by racial or religious intolerance. Illinois is launching a statewide initiative with Google to try and improve access to children's behavioral health care resources. The governor announcing the creation of Beacon. It's an online portal allowing Illinois families to access behavioral and mental health resources for kids. The Bulls take on the Raptors tonight, while in the Big Ten, number 14 Illinois back in action at Ohio State. The news, a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. You can go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher believes Americans have had it.
The Fulton County District Attorney, who is persecuting Trump for election integrity, and she is evidently up to her eyeballs in a massive personal scandal. Americans are not going to stand for this kind of obscenity.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth, and if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes, and further rate hikes are expected. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges to your tax debts daily. So if you owe the IRS today, you'll owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life. I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself. Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them. Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements. Changing the world one life at a time.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial and I said, what the heck? What do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Eden's 20 minutes, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy settling in 40 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now 51 390 to the old post office. Stevenson 50 minutes 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan 24 and climbing 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Brake lights in the Express at about 47th. Bishop Ford stop and go between 111th and the Ryan merge, and the Tri-State at accident. 2 left lanes are blocked northbound between the Mile Long Bridge, Plainfield Road. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. The latest with Steve Williams.
Clouds and drizzle, could be a little snow mixed in this morning. High today 40, cloudy tonight low 33, and then a cloudy day tomorrow, the high 47. Sun and clouds Thursday, mild, and the daytime high 48. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Updating those temperatures at O'Hare 37, Midway 37, Aurora 36, 36 along the lakefront. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. All right, so I've got more on this this remake of Lucas that we're working on with your help, you and the listening audience. The working title is Carajita, and it's about a Venezuelan migrant that moves to Glen Ellen, gets set up thanks to Pritzker subsidizing the resettlement and Glen Ellen being a welcoming community. But it is Victor Victoria meets Benjamin Button meets Lucas, and now I've got another wrinkle. Meets like Chucky, like Child's
now we're gonna
Play.
make it a horror film?
Well, not quite.
I don't know about that.
There's an aspect to it. But we're doing this in reverse order because we should go from old to young, but we're going from young to old. It's just easier to conceptualize for me, at least.
But
again, the plot is then he's there. Then he plays soccer at Glenbard West, and he gets a college scholarship to U of I.
Mm-hmm. And then realizes
that he's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Wants to be a woman. Then he goes to Champaign where he has a butt baby.
Yep.
And this is where I'm going to include this new wrinkle. So then the butt baby comes to life.
Oh boy.
I don't know how yet, but the butt
And
baby
the
comes
butt
to
baby's
life.
name is Chucky.
Well, it doesn't have to be Chucky, no, because the butt baby comes to life. This is a complicated plot. You're gonna have to follow it. This is like going to be like Inception. The butt baby comes to life, and then he becomes the Charlie Sheen character in the original Lucas, like the jock bully guy.
Oh, I
And
see
then-
how you come in full circle. Yeah.
But then since Lucas Karahita, since he is declining in age, while his butt baby is advancing in age, they meet at school and become rivals. So there's a little bit of a Back to the Future
Oh.
thing too. You see, boy, there's a lot here.
Whew.
We're gonna have to distill this. So they become rivals, and then there's like a little musical component to it, and that's the Victor Victoria piece. It's a little like West Side Story, but it's the butt baby coming back to be the high school rival of his father, because
Birthing parent Dan.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So there,
Please.
right. So does that? Yeah. I mean, some things have to get ironed out there. Okay.
Okay, but we got a great text message that if
All
we
right.
just went with the one theme that if you're doing a Benjamin Button type movie, when he gets all the way past childhood to the womb, why don't you show him getting aborted? That fits in with all the other
Oh,
ideas.
then the movie can end. Then it was like the whole thing.
That's how you
was,
end the movie.
The whole thing was a dream sequence, because it never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's a very interesting ending to the movie.
All right, I'm gonna have to take some time off to put all these pieces together. I think, but in the meantime, I mean, maybe I don't know. Ted is more of a right brain guy. He's not the creative type like me. He's a data guy. He's a finance guy, but maybe he's got an idea here. Yeah, he's an engineer, right? The engineering mind. He's not an artist like I am. Ted Dabrowski is the president of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Ted, thanks for joining us, as always. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Dan. Good morning,
Did you
Amy.
ha-
Hey,
did
just to clarify one thing, I'm not an engineer. I went to Georgia Tech. I didn't finish engineering, but I tried.
Well, it's the mind,
so
though.
communications.
Yeah. No, right. So, but I mean, I don't. Maybe you've got a little bit of a left brain in you. I mean, did you have anything you wanted to add to the screenplay we're working up?
Yeah, I think I'll let you guys dominate.
No, okay, all right.
I'm pretty weak on it. Yeah.
All
Good
right.
choice.
What about on the underlying policy? I'm a bit confused. We were talking about it earlier. On the one hand, Governor Pritzker is saying that Chicago is where they think they're going. That's where the services they need are. So there's no reason to have shelters or resettlement in the suburbs. On the other hand, he's dispatching state representatives like Tara Costa Howard to Glen Ellen to say, hey, look, village officials, the governor's got $11 million of somebody else's money that I can give you if you want to resettle migrants. So which is it?
Yeah, I think what he wants seen in public is that he's trying to keep people out of the suburbs and in Chicago. But what he's really working on is trying to find places for these people to go. And of course, at the same time, Brandon's saying, hey, Pritzker can build these 10 sites wherever he wants in the state. So Johnson's pushing them out of Chicago. So it's a welcoming city.
Well, and the other thing, too, by the way, going on, I mean, since this is going on in a lot of big cities around the country, in metropolitan areas, in Boston, the combination of the leftist governor there and the leftist mayor, who hails from Barrington, in Boston, they're doing a first-in-the-nation pilot program for long-term resettlement of migrants in and around Boston. So that's actually happening somewhere. So the idea that this is all just worst case scenario and the typical sort of fear porn from the right about this constant flow of migrants. It's not. You see other politicians similarly disposed in other big cities doing exactly what we're describing.
Yeah, everybody's trying to figure it out, right? And a lot of that has to be with the money, and that's something we're working on right now. Hopefully we'll get something out tomorrow. It's, who's going to spend all this money? Who's got the money? Who's going to be on the hook for taking care of migrants over ordinary residents? And that's, I think, a big part of it. Johnson would love to not spend another penny so he stops getting yelled at. But it's interesting. We're finally starting to tabulate all these costs. And we've been trying to get the numbers. It's really hard, as you can imagine, from the government. But I think we're looking at over $2 billion, or right around $2 billion since like 2021 of money being spent, not just on the asylees, like the 35,000 or the quote asylees, but also on all the Medicaid for a lot of the migrants who've been coming in the last 3 years. And so when you start adding it all up, you're talking about nearly $2 billion, and that's kind of the conservative estimate, because there's all kinds of other money being spent on
Right.
education and stuff like that.
Well, and also on food. I mean, Steve Cortez tweeted yesterday, if you're stressed about your grocery bills, which many of us are, consider Chicago just awarded contracts to 2 firms for over $100 million of taxpayer money. So Buena Beef has got a $45 million contract, and then Hyde Park-based 14 Parish received $57 million. I mean, eventually we're going to run out of money. I mean, I don't know where we're getting all of this from.
Well, we won't run out of it. We'll just keep spending it, and we'll raise taxes later. But no, I mean, I think I mentioned this last week. But if you open up this money that they're handing out, and you start to see the number of grants that are going everywhere, it's the funny money that goes around and buys votes and stuff like that. Of course, some of it makes it to the migrants for sure, but there's a lot of people enriching themselves. I'm looking at one grant of $17 million that goes to like 40 different organizations, and you think there's any accountability for that in Illinois? Heck no.
Justin Slaughter is a representative from Chicago. He was the lead sponsor of the Pritzker Purge Law, the so-called Safety Act. And, by the way, we're getting close, I think, to enough time being passed that we can take stock of the impact of the Safety Act. I don't have a complete handle on it, but I know this is something that you're looking at and I'm looking at, too. I mean, one of the things we do know is that the appellate courts are being overwhelmed by the number of appeals for a pretrial release that are coming up from district courts. We know that. But something else
we know that.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead, Ted.
Yeah, so we're having a huge number of appeals. In other words, what's happening is that you're having some judges trying to detain people for the crimes they've committed, and guess what? You got the pressure coming from the system, which is undoubtedly what it is. Pressure saying, no, you can't hold these people. And, of course, the courts are being overwhelmed with the number of appeals. There's about, 1,300 appeals just in the last 4 months, which is a big number, and it's overwhelming the courts. And so the Supreme Court's going to step in and look at it. But what it tells you is that judges are making a decision. And, of course, there should always be appeals, and right, it should always be.
Yes, it's appealable. Right, it's appealable, but the question then becomes, where is the data, like the series that CWB Chicago has been doing for the last several years, that indicates the people that were question marks in terms of pretrial release. They are charged with a felony and a violent felony. And then how many of those individuals who would have been held over pre-Safety Act, but were not held over for trial, went on to commit other crimes? How many victims could have been, how many victims could have been prevented if we were not operating under this no cash bail Pritzker Purge Law? That's the sort of data that we have to get to, right?
Yeah, and it's really hard. And, and you've got the opposite side of that is, how many people that would have, had bail put on them, been out, but substantial bail where they behave, and you got family forcing them to behave. Whoever bails that person out. So those people, if you have a weak judge, and the weak judge is saying, well, I'd like to hold him, but I can't now, and so out they go, and there's no bail, and the guy's out doing whatever he does, and we see this. We saw this the other day. A judge said that this crime that was committed, I would have put the person on bail. But I can't, and so I'm going to hold that person. Of course, then you get the appeal, and so you're going to get pressure from the system to unwind those decisions by judges. We'll see where it goes, but we'd love to have that data. We're going to have to work hard to figure out, and it's pretty messy data as well.
Well, here's the new Representative Slaughter legislation that I want to get to, and I'll tell you what, I got to tell you, as somebody who's gotten a lot of speeding tickets, I'm really of two minds on this one, but I'll get your view on it. No law enforcement officer shall stop a motor vehicle for failing to display registration plates or stickers, being operated with an expired registration sticker, violating general speed restrictions, unless the violation is a misdemeanor or felony, improper lane usage, unless it's a misdemeanor or felony, failing to comply with requirements concerning vehicle lamps, excessive tint, defective mirrors, an obstructed windshield, defective bumpers, excessive exhaust, or failure of the vehicle operator to wear a safety belt. No evidence discovered or obtained as a result of a stop in violation of these provisions shall be admissible in any trial, hearing, or other proceeding, preempts home rule powers. So you're eliminating traffic violations is the short version of it, but I wanted to give you all the examples included in the legislation. Eliminating traffic violations so you can eliminate traffic stops.
Yeah, well, just a story. I'm also worried about that law because a couple of months ago I was in Chicago, parked my car, and a CTA took my whole front of my car off, and they haven't given me the money to repair, so I'm driving around without a front end, so I might get stopped. But no, I think again that's one of those things where you may have a legitimate stop, a legitimate bad guy's there, you know who that person is, and yet you can't use the evidence, and I think. Of course, that just weakens law enforcement in Illinois. Granted, it helps probably on some cases where there might be some targeting, but nevertheless, you're doing one more thing. And if we just add up all the different things that weaken law enforcement and weaken policing, there's another one right there.
Targeting, I'd love to say I'd like to hear the case about targeting because I will put the number of speeding tickets I've gotten in the Chicagoland area up against just about anybody. And of course, the reason I've gotten those tickets is because I was speeding. But that's not the point. The point is that this is like the moving violation equivalent of the $1,000 retail theft threshold that we're not prosecuting retail theft under $1,000. So you want? I mean, look, I drive fast, but I'm a good driver, and I don't want to be around people who are pacing, and these people don't know how to drive, and it's a mess. And the Dan Ryan is already, basically, Fury Road. But I mean, you. So I mean that just the general lawlessness, right? And it's the whole people who play by the rules versus everybody else. So you get hit with a couple $100 for your registration, and you got to do this and you got to do that, and you maintain your property for safety reasons, among other things, for other drivers. So if your car's in disrepair, just ask the Willis children, the Willis family, and what happened to the Willis children with a faulty faulty trailer assembly, right? I mean, so there's legitimate interest, even if the roads were private in the libertarian world, for a private operator or the government operator to require certain things about your use of the property, and have certain safety protocols in effect. Fine, I accept that. It's just this because there are some people who won't and don't, then you just eliminate all the provisions, whether they make sense or not. The making sense of it doesn't even matter. It's just these people who are my constituents and who don't play by the rules are being penalized for not playing by the rules. And so we're just going to eliminate the rules for everybody, but mainly for them.
Yeah, so a one size fits all that weakens enforcement, and we're seeing that at the car chases, at the foot chases, limit stops. It goes on, and so. Unsurprisingly, we've got this situation where people are scared, right? And this is just one more thing to add to the mess.
Ted Dabrowski, President WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks as always, Ted. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax.
We started our company 10 years ago in an effort to help our fellow Christians experiencing tax issues resolve their matters by taking a simple 3-step approach.
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys that specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results. We're also a small firm who will treat you like family, not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
Proverbs 15:22 says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
You know, on that Lucas remake that we're working up, I think I misidentified Charlie Sheen as a bully in the Lucas film, but he wasn't a bully. He was like the protector of Lucas from the bullies. But what we're doing is we're going to make that Charlie Sheen character the butt baby who ultimately becomes the rival of Lucas when they become of a similar age, as Lucas regresses in age and his butt baby comes to life and advances in age. Are you following? All right. Just making sure people are up to speed so you can contribute. Guys, new year, and Low T Center can help make it a great one. If you've been feeling tired or grumpy, you've noticed lack of motivation and drive, have weight gain or loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels. Trust my friends at Low T Center. It's where I get my levels checked. I have the past 8 years. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office where you have a long wait. It's concierge medicine exclusively for men. They have affordable and convenient options for treatment, including physician-monitored self-inject treatments that ship directly to you each month, so there's no need to drive to the center for weekly visits. And right now, Low T Center is only $25 to get your T-level tested, so make your health and quality of life a priority and make it a great year. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
When life ends, your legacy begins. Ensure your legacy lives on at Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties. Take advantage of 0% financing. Lock in today's prices and safeguard yourself against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial and I said, what the heck, what do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Lots of channels, nothing to watch, especially if you're looking outside of big corporate control. It's time to interrupt your regularly scheduled programs with something worth watching. The new Salem News Channel. Straightforward, unfiltered, in-depth insight and analysis from the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. SNC is home to Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Watch anytime on any screen. Free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, Dan, real quick, I got this text message from a friend who is listening to that segment. She says, Dan and Amy, did you know it's an Illinois law that you don't have to have a license if you have car insurance? My son was hit by a drunk, illegal driver with insurance but no license. Thankfully, he's safe, but he fled back to his country, so all of his tickets were thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Changing their laws to appease to people that can't follow the law.
Right.
All right.
Right. Non-citizens here illegally.
Yep.
Prioritize over citizens who reside in Illinois, play by the rules, and pay all the freight. Yeah, that's the leftist paradigm, just so you're clear.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Representative Jim Banks from Indiana, GOP candidate for Senate in that state this year. We'll talk to him about the border, about the Middle East, about a number of things at 7:37.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
7:32 here in Chicago, 37 degrees this morning. House Republicans will move forward today with the effort to impeach DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. House Minority Leader Democrat Hakeem Jeffries called it a politically motivated sham, but the House Homeland Security Committee today is expected to mark up articles of impeachment. The Department of Defense identifying 3 U.S. soldiers killed in a drone strike in Jordan. They all hailed from the same Georgia unit. Those killed: Sergeant William Rivers, Specialist Kennedy Sanders, and Specialist Brianna Moffett. Amazon is pumping the brakes on its iRobot purchase. Both companies revealing that they mutually have agreed to call off that deal. As a result, Amazon will have to fork over $94 million. A 53-year-old food delivery driver was killed in a Chicago shooting Monday night in the Inglewood neighborhood. Chicago police say they're trying to determine a motive and if the victim was the intended target. Mayor Brandon Johnson is delaying migrant shelter evictions in Chicago. The mayor announcing yesterday the extension of the city's 60-day policy for those who cross the border illegally and then some who are seeking asylum in the city's temporary emergency shelter system.
This has been unprecedented. This challenge has certainly been a weight in our city.
But there are still differences between the governor and the mayor over the building of new shelters.
There are aspects of this that there are disagreements about, and sometimes those leak into the public, but the reality is we all understand our responsibilities here, and it is to have a humanitarian response to a humanitarian crisis.
Johnson says the state still hasn't lived up to their end of the bargain. And the Illinois State Board of Elections is expected to vote today on whether to remove former President Donald Trump from the state's primary ballot in March. The vote comes after retired Kankakee County Judge Clark Erickson recommended over the weekend that courts should dismiss voters' petitions to remove Trump from the ballot. Bulls take on the Raptors tonight. Big Ten hoops, number 14 Illinois back in action at Ohio State. The News is a service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560, The Answer. 7:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka says it's up to us.
Americans' love of family, love of truth. That is why we will. Well, that's why we've already won in the big scheme of things, and that's why we will always win. Why? Because that is our fuel. And the other side's fuel is what? Hatred. It's up to us to save this nation.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. Americans mourn the loss of 3 servicemen early Sunday in a drone attack at a U.S. base in Jordan. Dozens of others were injured in the attack, and an Iranian proxy has already proudly taken credit for it. Joe Biden invited this attack. Our troops have been a target of hundreds of such attacks since the beginning of the war in Gaza and even before that. And the response by Biden has been tepid. His most aggressive response was bombing a weapons depot in Syria. That doesn't cut it when you're dealing with state-sponsored terrorists. But then it's Joe Biden we are dealing with, who once in office immediately decided to loosen up embargoes on Iranian cash and oil. Iran is also the proximate cause of the 2 Navy SEALs who died just weeks ago while participating in a raid of a boat carrying missiles to Iranian-backed Houthi terrorists in Yemen. Is Iran attempting to goad America into a full-scale war? They know Americans have weak leadership in the White House and Pentagon, and that the American people are distracted by the invasion at the border, an uncertain economy, and presidential politics. Iranians also smell weakness in Biden and his party. Democrats are getting pummeled by pro-Palestinian marchers in their big cities and at the White House gates. Just like appeasing Iran, they want to appease Palestinian Americans ahead of the election. There are a dozen reasons for rejecting Biden in 2024, but the most important one is that he is getting Americans killed. From an open border to terrorist attacks on our troops, Biden is the national security threat to our country. We pray for the safety of our servicemen and women and for the families of those who have senselessly and needlessly been killed and wounded. I'm Jeannie Ives. To learn more, listen to my radio show on Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
7:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and the Edens is our starting point. 25 minutes Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy inbound 26 from the junction into the circle this morning, while the Ike is at an hour and 5 minutes, 390 to the old post office. Stevenson inbound, it's an hour 5, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Bishop Ford and I-57 very slow into the Ryan merge. I-80, due to a rollover accident, a right lane is blocked eastbound between Shepley and Hobo. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Drizzle today. Maybe a wet snowflake or two mixed in with a high of 39. Cloudy and 32 overnight. Clouds and sunshine tomorrow and a high of 47. Right now, clouds and drizzle, 37 officially at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We've been talking about this, trying to understand why things are proceeding as they are. Over the last 15 years, the left's position has been, with respect to Iran, glide path to nuclearization, cash for hostages, refusal to impose sanctions. That was Joe Obama terms 1 and 2, and now carried over into term 3. And we have the product of that, most recently, of course, these 3 servicemen that were killed in that drone strike, dozens others injured over the weekend. So how does that make sense? How does that get us to a place of more peace and more stability in the Middle East? And if it doesn't, and if it's also politically unpopular, then is there some other motivation that we're not seeing? The same goes for the border. Is there some other motivation? Is there some other angle that we're not seeing that helps make this make sense? Because Biden may be dead from the neck up, but not everybody in that administration is. Not everybody in that Congress is. There are people that have their wits about them. Maybe they just have different ends than they're stating publicly. So on the border, meet Amy Pope. She's the director of the International Office on Migration for the UN. She's also a former senior advisor on migration to Joe Biden. They leveled her up to the world government.
Oh, really?
Hello from New York. I'm here representing IOM on our delegation to the 78th United Nations General Assembly High-Level Week. Over the next 5 days, I will meet with fellow world leaders gathered here to address a wide array of global challenges. At IOM, we're focused on the challenges and the opportunities of human mobility. We'll be working with our member states, the private sector, and other partners to help stakeholders around the world harness the power of migration. We're developing bold, proactive solutions to build resilience in vulnerable communities against climate change, conflict, and other drivers of migration. We envision a world where fewer people are forced to migrate. And for those who do migrate, we're working to expand legal pathways to make sure all stakeholders reap the full benefits of migration. The countries of destination, the countries of origin, and of course, the migrants themselves.
If I could translate that newspeak into English, what I'm hearing is we're working to build a world where the West subsidizes the developing world. Think of the Biden approach to the Northern Triangle countries in this hemisphere. And in connection with that, a world of open borders. We're going to subsidize the developing world if you want to stay, and we're going to open our borders if you want to come. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Representative Jim Banks. He's representative for Indiana's 3rd Congressional District, Republican candidate for U.S. Senate in Indiana this cycle in November. Representative Banks, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning. Good to be with you.
I mean, do I have that sussed out right in your mind in terms of what the larger sort of ideology is in play here coming from this administration and radiating out to world government organizations like the UN?
I think you're exactly right. But what's obvious to all of us is that this is completely intentional. Joe Biden opened the border with a stroke of a pen. He could close it and secure the border today. Again, with a stroke of a pen. He refuses to do that because this is intentional. This is a part of their agenda. Open borders, flood the country with future Democrat voters, and build that global economy, the globalist view of the elitist Democrats. So I think you've said it quite well.
And so then explain Senator Jim Lankford and this effort afoot among some Senate Republicans, including him, to cobble together this deal with the White House and Senate Majority Leader Schumer, where Lankford is suggesting, as he was over the weekend, that this actually gets us to more border security, that the goal here is no illegal migrant crossing into this country. Well, how can that be, and why is it necessary if, as you say, it could be done with the stroke of a pen by the president?
Yeah, I can't speak to Senator Lankford's motivations. Obviously, this is very misguided. His negotiations, some of the establishment Republican negotiations with the White House and with the Democrats to continue the failed policies of this administration. I can't explain it, but what I can tell you is that House Republicans are fully against it. And Speaker Mike Johnson has said this bad deal coming out of the Senate, if it does pass out of the Senate, is dead on arrival in the House. Anything short of H.R. 2, which is our very strong securing the border bill that we passed early in this term, anything short of that will not pass out of the House on Republicans' watch. We have a two-seat Republican majority, and we aren't unified about very much in this majority, but we are unified on this. Anything short of H.R. 2 will not pass out of the House.
Oh, go on, Dan.
What's the next step with Mayorkas? I mean, I'm sorry, beyond Mayorkas. So you moved to impeach Mayorkas. What is this a path to? It can't be ending with Mayorkas. In point of fact, Andy McCarthy and others, I think, have persuasively argued that that Joe Biden should be brought up on articles of impeachment as much for his border policy as for his participation in this corrupt racket that his son was riding point on.
Yeah, I agree. This week, Chairman Mark Green of the Homeland Security Committee has marked up the impeachment articles against Secretary Mayorkas, and that will quickly come to the floor. Again, two-seat Republican majority. There are a couple of squishy Republicans in our majority who we're not sure yet if they will vote to impeach Mayorkas. I hope they do, and I hope their voters in their districts let them know that that won't go well for them in the next election. But it's important that we do hold them accountable. But you're hitting on something that's far more important. At the end of the day, the buck stops with President Joe Biden, and he deserves to be impeached for these open border policies that defy the rule of law in this country, and that will forever change this country, and not for the better. So, aside from the the corruption with Hunter Biden and the Biden family cartel, the open border policies of this administration, in my view, I agree with those who you mentioned deserve impeachment just for that alone.
Well, all right, let's talk about what happened. The 3 U.S. troops killed by the drone attacks at Tower 22 on the border of Jordan and Syria. Biden says we will do something. What is that something, and what should that something be?
Well, it's unclear with this administration. The unseriousness of this administration from the very beginning, and wanting to pass sign another Iran nuclear deal to appease the biggest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. When we give money to Iran, we know that money is flowing to Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and others who are responsible for the attack on Americans, like the 3 heroes who were killed over the weekend. But it's unclear. This administration, they should have swiftly reacted and held those accountable for killing our troops immediately accountable by attacking them in response, to not just show the Houthis, Iran, that we're serious, but to show the rest of the world that if you attack America and our troops, you will be held accountable for it. And instead, the weakness that emanates from this administration every single day will continue to attract this type of aggression, these types of attacks in a larger way. Joe Biden is the weakest commander-in-chief that we've ever had in American history, and our enemies know it. That's why China is inching toward taking over Taiwan. That's why Russia invaded Ukraine. That's why North Korea is firing and testing intercontinental ballistic missiles again, and it's why Iran is acting out on the world stage in a large way too. So we've got to boot him from the White House and restore a strong commander-in-chief who is serious, that understands peace through strength, who will deter our enemies rather than attract them. And that's not going to happen for a year. But in the meantime, it's important for Congress to put pressure on this administration to hold those accountable. There should be hell to pay for those who kill American troops. And right now, it's unclear that that's going to happen.
He is Representative Jim Banks, a congressman for Indiana's 3rd. He is also the Republican candidate for Senate in November in that state to replace retiring Mike Braun, who is running for governor. If you're checking your scorecards at home. Representative Banks, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Terrorist attacks against Israel, escalating threats of a third world war, natural disasters, and civil unrest are causing people to wonder, are we living in the end times?
In his new book, Are We Living in the End Times?, trusted pastor and best-selling author Dr. Robert Jeffress provides solid biblical answers to 7 key questions, including what role does Israel play in the end times? What 5 headlines will signal we are in the end times? And how can you prepare for the end times? Are We Living in the End Times by Dr. Robert Jeffress is available right now at ptv.org and wherever fine books are sold.
Jesus said, no one knows the hour or day of his return, which is why we should be ready at all times. Jesus is coming back to earth one day. Are you ready? Get your copy of my new book, Are We Living in the End Times? by going to ptv.org or wherever fine books are sold.
Sick and tired of achy joints? Dread the idea of surgery? Well, you need to call QC Kinetics. Listen, the state of healthcare is always changing, and the old ideas like steroids, cortisone shots, surgery are no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, that shoulder pain, well, either if it's from arthritis or injury, you don't have to let this pain keep you from living your best life. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. This is a revolutionary approach that can get you long-term relief with no downtime. So make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility and independence. Walk and run, play, live without the danger and trauma of surgery and without harmful drugs. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. They have new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. The number to call, to make a free appointment or schedule a free appointment, I should say. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
It's obvious. The unthinkable continues. Most Americans know something very wrong is happening. People in charge keep telling you that everything's fine and to stop noticing. But you know better. That's why self-reliant folks are investing in emergency food storage. You should too. My Patriot Supply, the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, are the ones you can trust. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com and secure their best-selling 3-month emergency food kits. Each contains tasty breakfasts, lunches, and dinners averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Save $200 on each 3-month food kit you purchase. My Patriot Supply also sells solar generators, gravity-powered water filters, off-grid room heaters for when the power goes out, heirloom seeds, and survival gear. Order by 3 p.m. and your items ship that same day and arrive quickly on your doorstep in unmarked boxes. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com today. Time is running out to prepare for what's coming. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial and I said, what the heck, what do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Would you like a new home or $450,000 for only $100? You heard correctly. Gaelic Park Charities is excited to announce its $650,000 home or cash raffle. Hello, this is John Quinn, the voice of Irish sports and special events at Chicago Gaelic Park. On the 24th of March 2024, we're raffling off a new construction, 2-story, single-family home located in the heart of Chicago's Mount Greenwood neighborhood. This beautiful custom home has 4 bedrooms and 2.5 baths with all the modern touches. The neighborhood has excellent schools, parks and amenities, and if you're not in the market for a new home, the winner can opt for a $450,000 cash prize instead. The proceeds of each $100 ticket benefit Gaelic Park Charities, a registered 501c3 dedicated to promoting and preserving Irish heritage and culture in Chicagoland. Purchase your tickets at ChicagoGaelicParkHouseRaffle.com. That's Chicago Gaelic, Gaelic, Parkhouseraffle.com.
When I grow up, I want to work for a woke company. Like super woke. When I grow up, I want to be hired based on what I look like rather than my skills.
I want to be judged by my political beliefs.
I want to get promoted
based on my chromosomes. When I grow up, I want to be offended by my coworkers and walk around the office
on eggshells
and have my words policed
by HR. Words like
grandfather,
peanut gallery,
long time no see,
no can do.
When I grow up,
I want to be obsessed with emotional safety and do workplace sensitivity training all day long. When I grow up, I want to climb the corporate ladder.
Just by following the crowd.
I want to be a conformist. I want to weaponize my pronouns. What are pronouns?
It's time to grow up and get back to work. Introducing the #1 woke-free job board in America, redballoon.work.
Post your open jobs at redballoon.work and use promo code Salem to get 10% off your first month's job postings.
Imagine what your future looks like. Is the picture a little blurry? Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Alpha Wealth Group. When we look ahead, we're visualizing where we want to be, and for retirement, that can be hard without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost, there is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy.
Oh,
I just have to get this in. California Governor Patrick Bateman had an orgasm while discussing Joe Biden's candidacy on MSNBC. I don't think I'm exaggerating.
Who in their mind would want to run when you have someone of such esteem as our incumbent president of the United States, with a record of accomplishments and a man of character, a man of decency? I'm old school.
Yeah.
Talk about loyalty. I'll go to ends of the earth for this guy. I really would.
Okay.
Decency, yeah.
All right,
Rape
towel
Tara
off.
Reid.
Towel off. We got to spill over the. It's just,
he's so arrogant and smug. He's worse than Pritzker. I can't stand this guy.
I he is just so over the top. It is just
drama.
No. If you believe, I can sell you anything. I can sell you anything, you moron. That's what Gavin Newsom is. That's how he talks to. That's what he thinks about you, which is why he talks the way that he talks. He is such a bootlicking, oleaginous cipher, but it is great. I love it. Those statements he makes about Biden. Those are statements he's making about this guy.
But the truth is, I wouldn't be here without the Democratic voters of South Carolina, and that's a fact.
South what?
So I want to start with
Joe Biden talking about economics, this dizzying intellect in the White House.
greedflation, shrinkflation. You see that article about the Snickers bars? Well, it's going to stop. America, we're tired of being played for suckers.
And then he gets angry and yells, or he whispers.
Love it. Love Gavin Newsom. Patrick Bateman. If you haven't seen American Psycho, you really need to, and you'll appreciate my characterization of Gavin Newsom that much more.
Today, cloudy, a high of 40. It is now 8 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
They were Army reservists from Georgia. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The 3 Americans killed in Sunday's attack when Iran-backed militants hit a U.S. airbase in Jordan. Sergeant William Rivers, Specialist Brianna Moffett, and Specialist Kennedy Sanders.
Honestly, I think I'm still in a state of shock and disbelief.
And Kennedy Sanders' mother, Oneida, just told Fox she's dreading this.
Reality probably won't set in until we actually travel to go receive her remains.
Her father, Sean, says
she enjoyed life. She was very competitive. She was goal-oriented, and she loved the service.
President Biden still considering a U.S. retaliation. Some Republican lawmakers want him to hit Iran directly. But GOP Congressman Corey Mills tells Fox,
this is one of those rare situations that I don't know that an immediate retaliatory strike is exactly what's needed. We're not here to play a tit-for-tat game with Iran on their terms.
He thinks a response should include new financial sanctions. U.S. forces in the Middle East have been targeted 165 times since the war in Gaza broke out. Hamas is considering a new proposed ceasefire with Israel coming out of multinational talks in Paris.
CIA Director William Burns representing the U.S. These talks have led to a proposal for a pause in fighting, but the details haven't yet been made public. Reports suggest the ceasefire could last around 6 weeks, with phased releases of Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners.
Fox's Jonathan Savage is up to 16 countries now suspending funding to the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency over allegations some of its workers helped Hamas's terror attack in Israel that triggered the war. House Republicans plan to move forward today impeaching Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, blaming him for not enforcing the laws, allowing a record surge of illegal immigration.
Multiple courts have shown that he's actually done just the opposite of what the Immigration and Nationality Act says.
So Homeland Security Committee Chair Mark Green tells Fox they plan to advance impeachment today. Democrats call it a sham and a stunt. America's listening to Fox News.
37 degrees in Chicago at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A 53-year-old food delivery driver was killed in a shooting in the Inglewood neighborhood Monday night, and Chicago police are trying to determine a motive and if the victim was the intended target. Mayor Brandon Johnson delaying migrant shelter evictions in Chicago.
This has been unprecedented. This challenge has certainly been a weight in our city.
All shelter residents originally scheduled to exit from January 16 through February 29 will be extended 60 days from their original exit date. The move by the mayor follows pressure by more than a dozen aldermen. Federal prosecutors are pushing for prison time for the longtime chief of staff of former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. Prosecutors have asked a judge to give Tim Mapes between 4 and 6 years behind bars for lying under oath to protect his old boss. Mapes is set to be sentenced February 12. A boil order is in effect for Dixmoor. All schools in that south suburb were closed after a report of another water main break yesterday near 141st and Wood. It is the 6th major water main break so far this year in Dixmoor. The Bulls look to try to get that winning streak back up and going, hosting Toronto tonight. On the college hardwood in the Big Ten, it's number 14 Illinois taking on Ohio State. The news, a service of Fox Valley Coins. Currently buying all gold and silver bars and coins, silver dollars, rare date proof, and mint sets. Visit foxvalleycoins.com. AM 560 news time is 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth MacDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
For the first time, a human has received a Neuralink brain transplant, according to co-founder Elon Musk. This could be a potential milestone in the development of brain-computer interface technology that could one day help those suffering from debilitating conditions, such as paralysis, to interact with their surroundings. Musk tweeted that the patient who received the implant Sunday is recovering well, and that initial results show promising neuron spike detection. And Pfizer earnings beat expectations, the drug maker reaffirming its full year 2024 guidance, which was issued in December. It reported a fourth quarter net loss of $3.37 billion, or 60 cents a share, compared with net income of $4.995 billion, or 87 cents a share. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
The Sean Thompson Show.
The Joe Biden administration is truly the administration for the rats, the thieves, the cartel members, the gangbangers. They're having the time of their life, and they're making more money than ever before. When a politician, salesman, or a gypsy, if anything, tells you, I'll be honest with you, that's when you know they're lying. When one of these Ukrainian overlords in a $6,000 suit tells you we don't steal the money, it's pretty much a confession of him stealing the money.
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you know that high blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for mortality? In fact, 1 in 2 adults have high blood pressure. That's a 50-50 chance you're a walking time bomb. But you, not Big Pharma, can take control of your blood pressure before it's too late with my friends at 120 Life. 120 Life is a blend of great-tasting superfruit juices that actually help lower your blood pressure. It's formulated with ingredients that have been shown to naturally control high blood pressure and are endorsed by thousands of health professionals. You can try it for yourself risk-free with their 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use the code NEWYEAR to save 20% and receive free shipping. They are so sure that 120 Life can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks that they'll give you your money back if you're not satisfied. So you have nothing to lose but those high blood pressure numbers. Order now at 120life.com and remember to use coupon code NEWYEAR to save 20%. This is serious. It's your life we're talking about here. So hurry up. The offer ends January 31st.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
We live in a high-tech world, yet nature is so complex that it's impossible for humans to even come close to duplicating it with all the technology in the world. Witness the spectacular things we see in nature and how they should inform one's faith in the latest book by Jeff Tischler, High Tech versus the Highest Tech. This 78-page paperback book is a must-read, packed with fascinating facts and colorful illustrations, laying out undeniable evidence for intelligent design and an all-powerful creator. And High Tech versus the Highest Tech is written in a way that all age groups can understand and enjoy. Get the book High Tech versus the Highest Tech by Jeff Tischler, offered through Milk and Honey Ministries for just $9.95, plus shipping and handling, with 100% of the proceeds going to missions. And for a limited time, $1 from each book sold goes directly to Food for the Poor. Order your copy today. Call toll-free 1-800-733-9262. Also available from Google Books or your favorite online bookseller. Special rates available for schools, churches, and mission outreach.
8:08, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And we'll start on the Tri-State northbound. You have an accident on the left-hand shoulder, northbound between the 83rd Street toll and Plainfield Road. Jane Addams eastbound side, a jam up. Report of an accident involving 2 semis on the off-ramp to Roselle Road. It's impacting the main line as well. Reagan Memorial eastbound, jammed up solid southbound Tri-State right at the exit ramp. And delays on I-80 due to an earlier accident eastbound between Larkin and Chicago. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Clouds and drizzle, could be a little snow mixed in this morning. High today 40, cloudy tonight, low 33, and then a cloudy day tomorrow, the high 47. Sun and clouds Thursday, mild, and the daytime high 48. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Cloudy and 37 right now. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance, arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Top of the morning, I jumped the gun there. I'm so excited for the sports and politics installment because it takes us to the world of surfing.
Okay.
Surfing. Bethany Hamilton is a world-class female surfer, and she is a bit confused and concerned about what the World Surfing League has done, which is to, say it with me, allow men to compete against women in surfing. Here's Bethany Hamilton speaking out, and then I'll tell you what happened to Bethany Hamilton after she did.
Is that the World Surf League has officially made the rule that male-bodied individuals known as transgender athletes can officially compete in the women's division. The World Surf League says they are following the Olympic guidelines. While I address this issue, I want to be clear that I strive to have love for all of mankind, regardless of any differences. But this concerns me as a professional athlete that has been competing in the World Surf League events for the past 15 plus years, and I feel that I must speak up and stand up for those in position that may feel that they cannot say something about this. I think many of the girls currently on tour are not in support with this new rule, and they fear being ostracized if they speak up. So here I go. Questions I have that I want to consider with you. How is this rule playing out in other sports like swimming, running, MMA? Have any of the current surfers in the World Surf League been asked what their thoughts and opinions are on this new rule before it was passed or announced? Should there be a conversation with the 17 women and all of the men on tour prior to a rule change such as this? Is a hormone level an honest and accurate depiction that someone indeed is a male or female? Is it as simple as this? Who is pushing for this huge change? Does this better the sport of surfing? Is this better for the women in surfing? If so, how? How did whoever decided these hormone rules come to the conclusion that 12 months of testing testosterone make it a fair and legal switch? Why is the WSL's statement about trans women competing with women, and yet there's no mention of converted women competing with men? I personally think that the best solution would be to create a different division so that all can have a fair opportunity to showcase their passion and talent. And I think it's really hard to imagine what the future of women's surfing will be like in 15 to 20 years down the road if we move forward allowing this major change. But we are seeing glimpses of male-bodied dominance in women's sports like running, swimming, and others. My hope is that if I ever have a daughter who is competing in surfing or any sport, and also for all the aspiring young generation of women, to have a bright and promising opportunity in her ambition to be the best of the best woman in her sport. I personally won't be competing in or supporting the World Surf League if this rule remains. Thanks.
Thank you. Obviously, a right-wing ideologue, Bethany Hamilton, the female professional surfer. So after she made those rather temperate remarks, I would say, I think she's wrong on a couple of things in point of fact, like having a new category and things like that. You're seeding an untruth that you cannot seed. But she's got a lot of the right questions that she asks, and she asks in a very thoughtful way. But of course, the result of asking questions like that is that the Australian surf company Rip Curl, which I guess is a popular company for surfers and the products they have, they dumped Bethany Hamilton as a spokesbeing, and they replaced her with a dude pretending to be a woman named Sasha Lowerson, who bears a striking resemblance to Connecticut Senator Dick Blumenthal.
A younger version or the same age?
I mean, not young, not much younger. Not much younger. Yeah. So Bethany Hamilton gets dropped. She's an actual female surfer, like professional female surfer, big time. I think she's, as I understand, like, one of the better ones, the Kelly Slater of female surfing. I don't know. And they replace her with a dude. How do you like me now, Bethany Hamilton, and those that would challenge the LGBTQ2S+++ orthodoxy that must be hewed if you want to participate in sports as a female?
I mean, does she regret making that I love everyone type of statement before she stated the truth? Because now, I mean, the dude took her job. He's affecting her livelihood now.
Well, she's walking away from it anyway because, as you heard her say, if they allow dudes to compete against women, then I'm not going to participate, which is essentially what has to happen. It is up to women and men, especially professional athletes, like where is Kelly Slater, where is Laird Hamilton, and all these other, where are they to support Bethany Hamilton and and kill the sport on the female side until sanity is regained. I don't know how else it goes that way. It's interesting. One of the questions she asked, where is the sport going to be in 15 to 20 years? Where are any of these sports going to be in 15 to 20 years? When you have, according to that survey that was out last week, more than 1 in 4 Gen Z adults in the U.S. identify as on the LGBTQ2S+++ spectrum. But no, don't call it a social contagion.
312-642-5600. That's our turnkey.pro answer line. You could text us at 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. I'll tell you, I mean, Leah Thomas, what, Clownfish?
She wants back in. He wants back in, I should say.
Yeah, challenging what the World Aquatics and FINA, FINA adopted. This, they've effectively, as of June 22, banned transgender women from competing in women's events unless they transition before the age of 12 and compete in women's events. So now she's hired some high-power Canadian law firm to try and change the rules to let her in so that she can swim in Paris for the Summer Olympics. And they better not cave to her, because if they do, then it's over. And I'm not going to watch the Olympics.
Cave to him, first of all. It's not a her, it's a him. Thomas. Leah Thomas is a man.
Isn't his name Mike?
I don't care. So that's number one. But number two, why wouldn't they cave to him? Once you, again, it's a simple question. Is a man pretending to be a woman the same thing as a woman? And their answer is yes. That's their answer. My answer is no. Their answer is yes. Once you concede that question, it's over. So I say again, as I'm going to continue repeating, answer that question, and then you know where this thing is going. What, individually for someone or collectively for a particular league or particular sport. Is a man pretending to be a woman the same thing as an actual woman? What's the answer?
Oh, a woman is a woman and a man is a man.
By the way, Bethany Hamilton, Laura Texter, Bethany Hamilton is the surfer who survived that shark attack that bit off her left arm.
Yeah, they made a movie about her. I love that movie.
Yeah, that's Bethany Hamilton.
That called? Oh, I didn't know that was her. And they took her. I mean, everybody knows who she. I mean, they know the story or saw the movie. If they didn't see the movie, they heard about the movie.
Soul Surfer.
Soul Surfer. That's right. And she's not a spokesperson anymore for that company.
No,
because she spoke the truth.
Yeah, so they got Dick Blumenthal in a blonde wig instead.
You know what? You're onto something with the Dick Blumenthal.
I mean, take a look at it. Take a look at the dude who replaced Bethany Hamilton and tell me that. And then, imagine Dick Blumenthal and then put a blonde wig on him and tell me that that's not him. Maybe it is him going under a pseudonym.
Surfers were supposed to be sexy, and that is not sexy.
No. Mary Kay, Western Springs.
Okay, so Amy, when we were younger and we started, I was getting heavy into the triathlon thing. The people at the gym, trainers, everybody agreed that you could not train hard enough as a woman to look like a dude. Remember? Lifting weights wasn't going to change our bodies into some, we weren't going to get freakish and look like male athletes. Okay, but that's changed because something happened. We evolved, testosterone levels increased, or something happened in that regard. So back at Riley Gaines. Now the movie that you just Soul Surfer was awesome movie. Rock Solid, came out in the mid 2000s, 2010, I think it was about. Great movie, inspired a whole bunch of stuff. But Riley Gaines is the one, in my opinion, who's doing the right thing. In October coming up, there'll be a day called 10/10, October 10th, because it's XX, and that's the female hormone thing. They're going to celebrate. They tried to get this off the ground this past October, but the Israeli-Palestine war started. And so the Leadership Institute, which she's heavily involved in and has her own thing going there, Riley Gaines does, there'll be a day called
Women Forums. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So on 10/10, it'll be going October 10th. So it's going to be here before you know it, like the election, Amy. So we'll start promoting this 10/10/24 deal. It'll be an event and it'll be huge. And by that time, hopefully all the athletes, and I'll spread the word as I usually do. So will the Leadership Institute, and we'll be celebrating a day for women, XX Day, and it'll be huge. I think that's my thoughts. And Matt Walsh said it a long time ago, and he keeps saying it, and I'll keep saying it. Watch the movie. What is a woman? There is just no question about what a woman is, guys. That's it.
Thanks for the call, Mary Kay. Deborah, Arlington Heights.
Let's talk about DNA. Okay, that's over. DNA is DNA. But let's talk about dysmorphia, and I've brought this up before. Like, an anorexic looks in a mirror and sees an overweight person. It's not reality. An overweight person, now that we're, looking in the other direction, that's looking in the mirror and seeing that that's okay and that's normal, is not seeing, a healthy person. When you're looking in a mirror and you're dealing with dysmorphia, you're not seeing what's real. So why don't we get mental health involved and recommend those sorts of, avenues to pursue? But we don't do that anymore. That's like out the window.
Well, yeah. Well, one of the things that you have to get is that the mental health professionals,
they're in on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're pushing this bolt jive.
Thanks for the call, Deborah. That's
You're
the
not
problem.
happy. Well, are you really a woman or are you really a man? Maybe that'll make you feel better.
You have,
and that
you
doesn't
have,
do anything.
You have the state in places like California, in countries like Canada, in states like Texas, family law courts. You have the state relying on these mental health professionals to take children away from their parents when the parent won't indulge the child's identity crisis. That's where things are at. I think some people that in your circles, probably not you if you listen to the show, don't realize how far down the rabbit hole we are. Same thing with, all the race hustling, the DEI and stuff. You think because you see a couple of high-profile victories and pushback that we've turned the tide, that we're winning these cultural battles. That's not the case. And the other side is pedal to the floor. That those little blips that we can point to with respect to the LGBT, the Lavender Bund, and their gender bending agenda, the race hustlers. Those little hiccups, those battles they lose, they're still waging the war with the same intensity. Candace in Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin.
Good morning, you guys. Okay, 2 points I want to make. Who is Germaine Greer? Have you heard of her, Dan?
Yeah, she's a third wave feminist from back in the day.
I know, but have you heard her interviews on the trans? It's fascinating. She's not for them, and
right.
I think her response is better than anything I've heard women say in this country. They started going through this stuff before we did, and I thought the interviewer was shocked by her surprise, but she just blurted it out. She's like, "I'm sorry, but they're not women, and they can put on the makeup all they want, but that still doesn't make them a woman." She said something extremely unpopular.
Well, yeah. I mean, but right, but so that's why there's the acronym TERF, Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist. So Germaine Greer is a radical feminist who's got to be in her 80s now. The Gloria Steinem generation of feminism. But of course they were party to where we are today. They just don't fully appreciate it. Some do actually, but they just generally don't fully appreciate it. So
and one other point I want to make is
right.
I think what was also party to this, because I knew gay kids growing up, not a lot, just a few. But what I think is what I hear these little kids saying over and over again is, I didn't feel like I was part of society anywhere. And, you know, if you grew up in the Cosmopolitan magazine generation, which is Gen Z or boomers, I mean, it was like the only women who went up in society class were the beautiful ones. And so if you
as
were
it should
born,
be. I'm kidding.
Well, okay, but anyway, if you were born this kind of androgynous-looking female or female-looking male, where in a place of our society in the U.S., where is their place? So I understand. What are we going to do with the ugly people? Is what I'm saying.
Look, no.
I just think that everybody's gay, and the
Thanks,
whole look
Candace.
at me culture. Sorry, I'm going to repeat that. I think that being gay is not unique. I feel like everybody's gay. So being gay is not enough. Now they got to take it to a next level. Cross-dressing is not enough. Now you got to be a trans.
It's being promoted. That's why it's a contagion. It's being celebrated, and when you celebrate something, you beget it. When you extol something, you get more of it. It's essentially psychic subsidizing this identity, because there are people with bad motivations that are essentially pushing this line of thinking. But the whole thing about, back in the day when kids didn't belong and this and that, that's the where the seeds of this were germinated. No. Kids not belonging because they're not the jock or they're not the beautiful girl or whatever. I mean, come on. That's every generation from time immemorial. So it certainly does. I mean, and I'm not saying Candace is excusing it for that. It certainly doesn't excuse any of this. And it is not, of course, the right approach to say, well, now you're going to belong because even though, you don't fit the Cosmo definition of the beautiful woman or something, we're going to have it belong because you're going to identify as this, or you're going to be attracted to these. All of that is ideological propagandizing. If you had character instruction in schools, you would help people understand that where their value lies beyond, the surface and so forth, and be better at coping with ridicule or a sense of loneliness or exclusion and so forth. I mean, those are just like excuses that are made for some of the most barbaric conduct in the direction of kids that has gone on in the last, I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess it's concurrent with all of these other barbaric conduct in the direction of kids, starting with Margaret Sanger in the 20th century and fast forwarding over the last 100 years. But that's just that is the left's calling card. But you can't do we were too intolerant of people who were different, or people who felt on the outside in high school, then we didn't get to sit at the cool kids' lunch table. Come on, no way does that excuse, rationalize, or provide a causal link to what we see today.
Right, I agree with you.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, well, we're going to stay on this topic in pertinent part. So we'll continue the conversation and take a couple more of your calls so we can get in at 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
37 degrees, gray skies. Still some drizzle in the area. At 8:30, House Republicans will move forward today with the effort to impeach DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, all while House Minority Leader Democrat Hakeem Jeffries called it a politically motivated sham. The Department of Defense identifying 3 U.S. soldiers who were killed in a drone strike in Jordan is hailing from the same Georgia unit. Those killed were Sergeant William Rivers, Specialist Kennedy Sanders, and Specialist Breonna Moffett. Meantime, the U.S. says they will respond decisively to any aggression against U.S. troops in the Middle East.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken addresses the 3 U.S. service members killed in Jordan by an Iranian-backed militia's drone attack.
And the President's been crystal clear. We will respond decisively to any aggression.
adding the U.S. remains focused on the conflict in Gaza, speaking with officials in Qatar to get hostages out.
This is at the very top of our list and has been from day one.
Calling NATO stronger than ever after launching its largest drills since the Cold War, a warning to adversaries.
This alliance is ready, and it is able to defend every square inch of NATO territory.
Adding he believes Hungary will soon approve Sweden's NATO accession. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
At 8:32, 3 were injured after a fire in an Old Town apartment building late last night. Fire broke out at a 4-story building in the 1400 block of North Wales just before midnight. 2 people were transported in fair condition. A 53-year-old food delivery driver was killed in a shooting in the Inglewood neighborhood Monday night. Police are trying to determine a motive and if the victim was the intended target. Mayor Brandon Johnson delaying migrant shelter evictions in Chicago. The mayor announcing yesterday the extension of the 60-day policy for those who crossed the border illegally and some who became asylum seekers while inside the city's temporary emergency shelter system.
This has been unprecedented. This challenge has certainly been a weight in our city.
Migrants who can't find permanent housing by the 60-day deadline will be able to file for further extensions to stay in a shelter. Meantime, a city council committee will meet this morning discussing conditions at migrant shelters across the city. That meeting gets underway around 9 a.m. Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred has reportedly given a positive endorsement to plans for a new White Sox stadium in the South Loop. It's all part of a new interview with Crane Chicago Business. Manfred saying a White Sox move to the 78 in the South Loop would be a, quote, game changer, end quote, considering the location's proximity to downtown. Bulls take on the Raptors tonight. Big Ten hoops. Number 14 Illinois will battle at Ohio State. The news is a service of Jackson Hewitt. It matters who does your taxes. When you get your biggest tax refund from Jackson Hewitt, prepare to shout, Jackson Hew, yeah, from the rooftops. You will get your money back, plus $100 if you don't get your biggest refund. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
This is Dennis Prager, and now a truly exciting new benefit. My monthly online video get-together for Pragertopia Plus members only. For an hour each month, get an exclusive chance to ask me anything. I'll be answering your questions. I've never done this. Submit your questions for me at Pragertopia.com. This is our chance to connect like never before. Go to Pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm always on the road driving, and I take care of people's dogs. I do feel a difference, and I'm always telling everybody about take Balance of Nature, take Balance of Nature. And the fiber and spice is really great. You know, sometimes when you're on the road all the time and you don't eat right and stuff, I take that, and it's wonderful. It's very good.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code
Chicago. Sick and tired of achy joints? Dread the idea of surgery? Well, you need to call QC Kinetics. Hi, it's Amy Jacobson. Listen, the state of healthcare is always changing. The old ideas like steroids, cortisone shots, surgery are no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain from arthritis or injury? Well, don't let this pain keep you from living your best. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility and independence. Walk and run, play and live. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. New locations, folks, in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Fox Valley Coins. No waiting, no problems, no charge for in-store verbal appraisals. Bring your gold or silver in today. FoxValleyCoins.com.
8:37. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. The inbound Ike, the worst of the interior expressways, now 80 minutes from 390 into the old post office. The Ryan itself at 35, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State stop and go northbound, Archer to 31st. Jane Addams, an accident involving two semis eastbound on the off-ramp to Roselle Road. It is impacting the main line as well. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Drizzle, maybe a wet snowflake or two, high 39. Mostly cloudy, 32 overnight. Clouds and sun tomorrow, high 47. 37 right now, next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're talking about, before the break, talking about Bethany Hamilton, the female professional surfer. She was the young lady who had her arm bitten off in a shark attack 20 years ago and went on to still become this professional surfer. Well, she's questioning men competing against her in surfing, so she got bounced from being a spokesman for this popular surfing outfit and replaced, ironically enough, by a man pretending to be a woman who is competing on the women's surfing circuit. This is the sort of stuff, I guess, that Joe Rogan was talking about recently when he, and I mean, just as an aside, I don't know how anybody who describes himself as Joe Rogan is like so popular or a go-to guy for self-respecting conservatives, but that's a conversation for another time. Rogan describing how what happened in California not only drove him out of California, but drove him at least somewhat more to the right. Take a listen.
Well, I used to be a part of the Blue Bubble. I was 100% a left-leaning person who lived in Los Angeles. I was 100%. I never voted Republican my whole life. I was very left-leaning, especially with like any social issues. When it comes to financial things, I'm a little bit more conservative, but at the end of the day, I'm way more left than I am right. But California went nuts, man. It's gone like full communist. It's out of its mind. And their approach to law enforcement is so insane. It's so insane. The no cash bail, the letting people out for committing violent crimes, the not stopping people for stealing up to whatever money it is. What is it, $900 now? I think they raised it. I think they made it a little higher. San Francisco is non-existent. Most of San Francisco is emptied out of like big chain stores and big department stores.
I wouldn't even do stand-up there anymore.
It's crazy.
They ruined it.
They ruined the city.
Yeah,
I mean, you can bring it back. The structure's still there. But you'd have to have some hardcore Rudy Giuliani type motherfucker to come in there and knock heads.
Wow.
And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. They're peace, love, and granola and wear a mask.
Yeah, and rearrange your body parts, which is something else Joe Rogan has railed against, to his credit, I will say. And such in California, to the extent that migrants that are dropped off in L.A. or make their way through California's border with Mexico into the state are not just entitled to free health care, they're entitled to free gender reassignment surgeries. That's what he's talking about. That doesn't make him a conservative thinker. It just makes him a master of the obvious. But nonetheless, I mean, so there is this backlash, but the problem is that people who would replace Bethany Hamilton with a dude as their spokesman for women surfing and their surfing products, they're in control of the institutions. And as we were just discussing, the idea that there are some mental health professionals that are going to save us from the people that are in control of these institutions and perpetuating this ideology. That's who we're talking about. Those that are in control of the medical professions and the medical schools. Now you're starting to see the problem we've got? Structural. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Ian Kingsbury, Director of Research for Do No Harm, Senior Fellow at the Educational Freedom Institute as well. Ian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, we were just discussing, so it's a perfect segue to you. We had seemingly some victories over with DEIB now. I'm sorry, I've got to include B, belonging, because that's now the new acronym for some of these corporate committees. So we had some victories with the Supreme Court's decision in the Harvard admissions cases, with the self-immolation of a couple of Ivy League presidents. But nothing stops. Nothing is stopping, and I don't see any substantial change of institutional control with respect to med schools and other associated academic and cultural institutions as it pertains to some of the issues that we're talking about. Do you?
No, things are completely out of control in the medical field. Medical training is just being supplanted by woke indoctrination. So all this time that you would hope that medical students are learning how to diagnose illness or to perform surgery, an enormous amount of that time is just spent learning about woke social justice activism. It's really alarming.
And so,
well, this is a moneymaker, though. I mean, isn't this going to be $1 billion industry by 2050?
For the transgender medicine?
Yep, and surgeries.
What,
sure.
2030.
Yeah, there's certainly big money to be made here. It's hard to say truthfully the extent to which that's really even animating all of this. I think for certain people, certainly it can help rationalize it. But truthfully, I think the bigger problem is just that there are zealots who have captured these medical institutions who really believe in this stuff. They think that these experiments that they're doing are for the advancement of humanity. That's really the bigger problem.
Yeah, and so you have some bad examples and some less than properly couched statements that come out of a Vanderbilt University hospital system and University of Wisconsin hospital system, and there's a bit of a firestorm around them for a moment, and maybe some people get shuffled around. But it doesn't stop. I know that clinic over in the UK got shut down because of the adverse outcomes for patients. That was a Tavistock, but none of this is stopping. And so, do you have a prescription on terms of how to make it stop? What can people do? What can the medical profession do against the institutional powers at the AMA and at these med schools?
Right. Unfortunately, things are so out of control that it essentially does compel legislative action at this point. And we're seeing this in, and unfortunately right now it's exclusively red states, but efforts toward, for example, restricting access to puberty blockers, to cross-sex hormones, to surgery. So Ohio was just the latest state to take this measure after the legislature overrode the governor's veto on this. But, there are a number of states now that have done this, and unfortunately there's a number more that probably are going to have to do this because it's not even clear that the AMA or these other organizations can see themselves to sanity. They're going to need, legislative action.
What about something like a Great Barrington Declaration to organize medical professionals from across the country, across institutions, to speak with a singular voice and to have some profile so people see that what you're being told by those who have the titles isn't what equally credentialed professionals in these sectors believe.
Right. So I think my organization, Do No Harm, is helping, leading the charge on this. We have many members who are doctors who are starting to find their voice on opposing these sorts of things publicly. I think if there's reason for optimism, it's becoming a little bit easier or more comfortable for medical professionals to speak out on this because things have simply gotten so out of control, and because I think people are understanding that these issues aren't just going to resolve themselves and they can't just sit on the fence and wait for things to get better, that you do now have all of these people who are really signing on to this project to try to restore sanity to medicine.
Are you starting to see yet that can be quantified a decline in the quality of the doctors? Let's just speak to doctors specifically. It's one thing to be to focus on plastic surgery or even worse, gender reassignment or abortion. But you're still a qualified expert in your field. But it's another thing if you're not a qualified expert in your field because you've been focused on, DEI tracks and the rest of the politics surrounding what goes on in medical schools as what went on at their undergraduate schools. So the quality of the professionalism in the profession, is there a demonstrable decline that is measurable at this point?
So I don't know offhand data that would speak to that decline. I certainly know anecdotally this is something that an enormous number of people are aware of. We hear from members of our organization, other members of the public, that they're nervous about seeing a doctor who's under the age of 40 or under the age of 50 because they understand that the quality of the medical training that they received is very different than what they would have received a generation ago. It's just so much about this social activism. I spoke a couple weeks ago with a medical student at the UCLA School of Medicine, which is one of the absolute worst offenders in all of this. There was an article actually in the Wall Street Journal a couple weeks ago about how they were segregating their medical students by race for certain activities. Yeah, crazy place. And unsurprisingly, according to the student, you have large numbers of students who are failing basic assessments as part of their training within the medical school because, they're not learning medicine, they're learning just crazy woke nonsense.
Well, you had also that high-profile case, was it within the last year or so, of that renowned organic chemistry professor, I think it was at NYU, or definitely East Coast, that essentially got fired because he was failing kids in organic chemistry that were failing organic chemistry. But you don't want kids that fail organic chemistry going on to be a doctor.
Right. Yeah, it's there are certainly people out there who are trying to do the right thing and still enforce rigor and standards. The problem is when you think of a school like UCLA, every incentive is for you to sort of just join the chorus and keep your head down and participate in the woke insanity. I applaud people who fight back, but if you're in a place like UCLA or whichever, and I can't recall the institution, the one you just mentioned, but unfortunately, you get a target on your back for for trying to be a sane person.
What about the breakdown in trust that's not dye related, but I mean it's sort of the same dynamic, the groupthink that you're talking about, the sharing of a brain, the madness of it all because of politics, and I'm talking about the trust relationship that was broken during COVID, and now more information is coming out. Representative Tom Massey from Kentucky posted this missive from Anthem Health Insurance about the incentives that doctors had to get all their patients vaccinated, regardless of their viewpoints, regardless of whether or not they thought maybe kids don't need to be vaccinated, but older people with comorbidities did. None of that mattered. It was a straight schedule of you get this percentage of our clients vaccinated, and you get this much bonus. And you had a pediatrician named Dr. Kirk Milhone who testified before the House Committee on COVID, talking about exactly that, the idea that doctors would and hospitals would have been paid to do things that were potentially averse to their patients' interests, or at least they thought so, and they went along with it, because if you didn't go along with it, then there was the stick on the other side of it.
Yeah, the medical profession is burning an enormous amount of trust and credibility. And I think for the most part, the people inside of it don't really understand what's happening, because they tend to get wrapped up in their own bubbles and sort of not fully taking stock of how people outside of that assess it. And so you look at the uptake of other standard childhood vaccines, and you can see those rates decreasing. And then you'll have statements from people in organizations like the American Medical Association trying to blame actually conservatives and Republicans for eroding that trust. But they never look in the mirror and try to actually, acknowledge the role that they might have played in all of this. And it's really sad, because modern medicine can do amazing and terrific things for people. There's going to be real consequences to the trust that they forfeited.
He is Ian Kingsbury, Director of Research for Do No Harm, Senior Fellow at the Educational Freedom Institute as well. Ian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
All right, Permaseal has been around for 45 years now. Did you know that Roy Spencer, he started Permaseal Systems out of his apartment and his F-150 pickup truck. So as a way of saying thank you, this January, and there's only a few days left, they're celebrating with an anniversary sale where you can save 10% off all services or up to 24 months interest-free financing, waterproofing, crawl space encapsulation, structural repairs, and their new attic insulation services. Be sure to call by January 31st, that's tomorrow, to save 10%. The number, 800-421-7325, 800-421-SEAL, or visit permaseal.net.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-353-2973 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm always on the road driving, and I take care of people's dogs. I do feel a difference. And I'm always telling everybody about take Balance of Nature, take Balance of Nature. And the fiber and spice is really great. You know, sometimes when you're on the road all the time and you don't eat right and stuff, I take that, and it's wonderful. It's very good.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Be sure to schedule your health assessment with my friends at Low T Center. They offer the convenience of physician-monitored, self-inject, at-home testosterone treatments with an average payment of $150 a month cash pay, including labs and medication. If you don't live near a Low T Center, just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy shipping treatments directly to you. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. That's Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Lots of channels, nothing to watch, especially if you're looking outside of big corporate control. It's time to interrupt your regularly scheduled programs with something worth watching. The new Salem News Channel. Straightforward, unfiltered, in-depth insight and analysis from the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. SNC is home to Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Watch anytime on any screen. Free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, any more screenplay adaptations for Lucas?
No, I gotta work on it. I gotta go home and really work on it. So it meets the quality that people have come to know from my movie plots. Karahita, working title. We'll take more of your suggestions as I'm rounding out the plot line tomorrow.
Oh, I love it. And thanks so much to the people we love who make the morning show possible. Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Quinn McCarthy. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
The very latest on an early or late night fire causing problems in Chicago. 3 were injured. And a 53-year-old food delivery driver was killed in a shooting in the